Couchtripper.
Oh, hello, I'm Stewart Lee. This is the DVD commentary of episode 1 of Stewart Lee's Comedy Vehicles, just one of many incentives to buy this box set. So I'm going to be talking all the way through these about how we did it. And I'm joined by Paul Putner and Kevin Eldon. Say hello.
Hello to you.
Hello, I am Paul Putner.
I am Kevin Eldon.
Who they acted in it. And this is the title sequence. I'll talk about that in some of the other shows. That's what it's called, Stewart Lee's Comedy Vehicle. This is episode 1. This was all about books and the opening line of it.
Thank you. I'm Stewart Lee. Welcome to Stewart Lee's Comedy Vehicle. The sat-nav is off.
You have to have jokes like that in television at the beginning of things.
Every week I'm talking about different things. That's how it works. You've seen television before. Tonight we're going to be talking about books. Now, if you've only ever read one book in your life, I highly recommend you keep your mouth shut.
And sadly, the very first joke in the series is one of 3 jokes not written by me. That was by Simon Munnery, and I rang him up on the day and said, can we buy this joke off you? Because it'd be a great opening line.
And he agreed to this.
He agreed to it.
And you credited him at the end, didn't you? In lettered writing.
Yeah, I credited him for his 2 jokes. This is another one of his jokes.
I did actually, when I first saw this, I thought, is it all going to be Simon's material?
No,
I was worried.
It was a bad start to start with, too. But, you know, I think the thing is, at the beginning of the series, right, he needed some sort of punchy jokes, and I haven't really got any. So I ended up having to use Simon Munnery's best short joke.
Right. At least you didn't steal them without crediting them like some people do. I can't think of any names.
Yeah.
Basically, the first episode was either going to be books or television. We knew all the others were in the same order, but we had to do one or the other.
Oh, there I
Here's
am.
Paul.
The 75-year-old man died a painful death on the large green table.
I had to have a fight with Tony in this.
I know. Well, there was a much better, longer version of it with lots of great improv from Tony and yourself. And this was one of the only 2 places where I disagreed with the executive producer, Armando Iannucci. I really wanted the longer version of that to go in. I thought it seemed a bit perfunctory, but it was episode 1, you know, and everyone was really worried about not going on too long. Although why they gave me a series if they were worried about things going on too long, I don't really know.
Yeah. Well, do you think they get described as sketches, but they're not really sketches, these little inserts as such, are they?
Well, some of them are. I mean, some of them felt like the one in the estate agent's office where they want to live in Miles Jupp's rectum seemed like a sketch.
Yeah.
But as the series goes along, like episode 5 and 6, which have been put back in their correct order now, it seems like, because they were moved around by the BBC at the closing stages, they felt like the sketches were getting to where, like with the stand-up, where they sort of double back on themselves and criticise themselves and are kind of multi-textual. So I think I probably needed to do more like that. They do feel... They feel a bit straightforward, but they were supposed to be. They were
Illustrative.
Yeah, well, everyone was really worried that no one would want to watch half an hour of stand-up, you know, and that then the film stuff. I was thinking of it as the kind of sweetener, really.
Right.
The first volume of his autobiography is called...
This stuff about Moyles' book, I kind of I just kept taking it on stage with me night after night to try and work this out. And then when I saw this sticker on the front that says a great toilet book, Davina McCall, which I'd never noticed before, I thought, there's probably 5 minutes in this.
Begins thus, in big letters, welcome, reader, to the first page of text. And you might look at that and think, that's funny.
Did you read all of that book, Stu?
I did read all of that book, Kev, but on the whole, I got the researcher, Sean Gray, to go through these terrible books, finding the worst bits for me. But I did actually read all of Chris Moyles' book. And I don't know, it's just amazingly... It's kind of inconsequential and yet oddly, dully fascinating in that he would have got paid all this money to just talk about going to pubs. And it's weird as well because he's sort of fawning to some celebrities and dismissive of others. You never know quite which way he's going to go.
Have you ever met him?
Yeah, I met him. I've met him twice, years and years and years ago when he did local radio. He had me and Richard Herring on when we were doing the double act on BBC Two, which would have been 1997, something like that. And another time I saw him running round Regent's Park while I was running the other way, and we were both trying to lose weight. And as you can see, we've both been unsuccessful.
I met him once at a party. He seemed quite charming, nothing at all like his persona. But
When Christopher Moyle said to the friends, his own friends, friends of Christopher, who said, I'm writing a book.
There's a bit coming up here where I do silent acting. This is the closest I've come to clowning ever.
I think it's very good.
it is.
And it's dead air. You're not really allowed to do that on television, have nothing happening.
It's like, and a bit reminds me of the Hancock sort of thing, where he would do these sort of moments.
Watching it back now, I can understand why some people find it infuriating. I mean, you know, that's not television, is it? Just looking at a wall.
Well, you say a wall, it looks like it's made of ice.
Well, actually, interestingly enough about that wall, that is the only part of the whole room. It was filmed at the Mildmay Club, a working men's club in Stoke Newington in Hackney, and that wall is the only bit that was put in. The rest of it is all their actual fixtures. It's a great-looking place, and it was really nice to be able to do it there, not in a TV studio.
Yeah.
But that gap is in many ways better than the equivalent amount of time filled with crass guff.
Well, you know, if they give us a second series, I want to work towards it being mainly... I want to increase the silence quota a lot more. There's a lot less happening. I think it's a bit busy and frenetic.
Maybe for this DVD commentary you can do one episode where you don't say anything.
Yeah, it will be in keeping.
That'll teach them.
You can see on my hand there all the names of things I was going to talk about in the show. I used to have that because I needed it, but now it's very much an affectation.
Like Noel Edmonds on Deal or No Deal.
What does he do?
He has little symbols, isn't he, written on his hand, so he can do his cosmic...
Satanic ones? Or?
No, cosmic ordering.
Oh.
Yeah.
A great toilet book, that was his highest ambition.
You actually do a gag about stuff on your hands, though, don't you?
Yeah.
We'll wait for that.
Bit of fake improv.
Yeah.
It'll come up later. This next sketch about William Tyndale and the Pope was originally filmed by the director of the pilot, Michael Cumming. He did a very good job on the pilot. But
Very good job.
He had to work on Omid Jalili instead. Oh, I've skipped ahead too much. What I like, it's nice actually seeing the people really enjoying it and laughing, because in the sort of bad reviews that you find on the internet after having looked for 20 hours, there's sort of assumption that because the person at home doesn't like it, the audience must have been paid to laugh or something. But as you can see, I mean, it was shot in such a way as you don't have reaction shots, you just cut across. You can see them around me actually enjoying it, which is something I wanted to really try and get the feel of it being an actual gig.
The time that Comedy Dave put a pound coin in the pub urinal. So honest was it that they literally force the buttocks of the reader together.
The actual bit where I appear as William Tyndale burning at the stake, quoting Chris Moore's book, was cut down, wasn't it, to about 5 seconds, after I'd spent many hours learning an entire page of that doggerel.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
No, he didn't.
So what sort of... I remember you saying you were acting in the style of 1970s Blake for Today or something.
I think it's really great face acting by Kevin Eldon here. Face acting, we call it in the trade.
Face acting.
Yeah. I mean, it has the feel of history recreation dramas.
That's what we were all going for, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Chris Moyles expresses such noble and improving sentiments.
One of my favourite bits in the series is coming up, which is where Kevin's William Tyndale is mouthing along with the text as the Pope reads it back to him.
In defiance.
Yeah.
Do you remember in the pilot I come on and blow a horn and talk to myself?
No, don't tell them about that. They'll wish they hadn't missed it.
Right. That thing I'm wearing, that kind of gown, it's heavy as concrete.
That's why Acting is the hardest job in the world,
it
isn't
is,
it?
yeah.
Paul?
There, that's a good bit. I like that. They worked that out themselves, ladies and gentlemen. And this, as Kevin says, was cut down from a 1 or 2 minute sequence of him reading the whole of Tyndale. Of,
An anecdote of the pound coins in the lavatory.
Yeah.
To oh God no or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But you've often had to learn loads of lines at very short notice for Stewart Lee, haven't you?
Yeah, you have. But it's a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, again, that's the second thing in this show that in the whole series that I would like to have run that at the end of the episode. But I mean, again, the first 2 episodes there was a lot of sort of pressure on them of trying to sort of make sure that they were kept moving along and were accessible. But really, I wasn't lent on too much. And one of the amazing things about this episode is that they did allow me to do this sort of 7 or 8 minute improv-y bit about rappers in the supermarket, outside the supermarket.
What made you think of this one of thinking, I think I'll go on and on and on and on about rappers?
Well, what happened was I went for a day out to Cambridge with my wife and child, and my wife went to the toilet in the public toilets in the shopping centre in Cambridge, and I was standing around in between the Corn Exchange and the back of the shopping centre, and I saw these young lads in sort of sport hats running up and down these steps and sort of jumping off these balcony things, making these shapes. And I know what that is. I know that it's this kind of freestyle, self-expression street dance that's been imported from American hip-hop culture. But I just started thinking what my mum would think it was if she'd watched it. And I think she'd have some sense that it was something to do with rap.
Yeah.
And then I tried to describe it at length in the way that
You're channeling your
my
mum.
mum really and my gran, my mum and my gran, when they talk about aspects of modern culture. But I tried not to think about it too much. And I don't think I could have done it many more times than I did here, because it starts to fall into a pattern in your mind, and what you really want to do is confuse yourself so that you just start describing things at too much extent. There's a lot of Ted Chippington in this as well, who would talk about these chaps. You've seen him around. But I mean, I think it's really amazing they let this go out in the first week, because it's probably the weirdest bit of stand-up that's been on telly for a long time. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's a specific little wall.
I wonder if sort of like when people like your mum would be watching it, because I remember I sat and watched this with my mum and dad, and it's probably maybe the only part of the show they understood.
Oh, really? Isn't that great? That's really nice, because it relates to their sort of bafflement at the modern world, yeah.
Conversely, my mum
go on.
was irritated. He just kept repeating himself. She didn't like that, you see.
Well, that's the really good story about the writer and comedian Pete Bainham watched Groundhog Day with his mum. And towards the end she said, "It's very repetitive, isn't it?" But yeah, I mean, I went away when the whole series was on, but I read what people were saying about this, and people either loved it or just thought it was interminable. And some people were writing, there's no way this series can recover viewers from having had this routine in the first episode. But I mean, I'm really glad it was able to go out. Because I think, how many times can you say the same phrase but put a slightly different intonation on it? That amused
24.
me. Exactly is the correct amount, yeah.
Now, this book's not really aimed at me.
The punchline.
It's a good punch. It's a good punchline.
Yeah.
What during that rant that you just did about, well, not rant about the rabbit. What I like is, because you are kind of speaking with the voice of your mum and nan, both of whom I've met. Very slightly goes towards just a little bit of Romy.
Yeah, well, I find whenever I talk about things from the past or nostalgia, I do slip into Birmingham accent, because it's something I fought it off when I came to London to do stand-up, and it comes back when when I'm doing material about the past or imagining how I would have felt 20 years ago. Interesting
So did you have quite a stronger accent?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, but I didn't. But 20 years ago, I don't know if you remember, there was like a vogue for regional comics, wasn't there? You know, and there'd be the bloke from Newcastle would talk about not having a shirt on, and the bloke from Liverpool would talk about jacking up cars and stealing the wheels. And I sort of didn't want to be. I wanted to be a neutral figure and not have not be located as being from a place.
Right.
And so I tried to eliminate it, but now it's I always worry it sounds a bit like Frank Skinner though as well. Like I'm trying to do an impression of Frank Skinner.
Yeah, that would affect his legacy somewhat.
I think any time anyone at Radio 4 spent researching popular culture was time wasted, which would have been better spent making a documentary about Moss or another Radio 4 comedy programme in which all the comedians' voices go up at the start of a sentence.
Of course, the irony is, you know, I was very much one of those comedians in the mid-90s.
Along at the same level while more news-based jokes are delivered, and then down at the end and it's finished. You're listening to Radio 4, everything's gone up like that, and then down.
Who do you think originated this sort of
Nick
style?
Hancock. Definitely, yeah. Do you remember?
Yeah, and I suppose Joe Brand had a not quite like this, had a rhythm that suddenly everyone started to kind
I
of...
think Nick Hancock sort of invented it in the late 80s. And
I don't know.
The Simon Munnery, one of the main writers of this episode.
Yes.
and Miles Jupp from Ballymorney in the middle there.
And now in the thick of it,
Yeah. And
Tara Flynn.
Tara Flynn, the voice of the Irish phone network.
Is that someone's knee?
But nevertheless, I was very grateful.
Yeah, that tone of voice. I think it was Nick Hancock, and then David Baddiel, and then it became the sort of voice of 90s comedy, and now it's the voice that Top Gear and radio DJs and everyone all do jokes in that voice, don't they? But Nick Hancock, weirdly, you see him presenting things in the afternoon telly now. He doesn't seem like he wants to pursue that thing.
It's strange, like Johnny Vaughan.
Yeah.
Well, he has that sort of way, movies.
Yeah.
You know, now that's kind of... I thought he was being sarcastic when he started off, but now so
That's
many...
his voice.
Yeah.
97. Whereas
Yeah.
D there again. Look,
In our house, we seriously entertained fears that doing a joke about
similar, but
tough
smaller ones.
British rap people would mean that I was shot.
Have you ever met Asher D?
No, have you?
I met him at a party once. He was charming.
Exactly.
Not really.
Is it the same party as Chris Moores, was that?
Yeah. No, I just thought I'd try and do a running joke. But it doesn't.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry, I've ruined it.
Well, and of course, So Solid Crew had terrible trouble. This is pretty much why they kind of imploded, really, because they had so much violence at their gigs.
I know, but then you stopped going.
Yeah.
And it settled down. That's good.
But I thought, it was only a few years ago, but it's like 10 years ago.
I know. Well, part of what I think was funny in a way that I didn't realise about this was that any young people watching it would think, why is he talking about So Solid Crew? They're from 10 years ago. Whereas to me, that feels like some of this new hip-hop they have.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So actually, from earlier on in the show, trying to sort of make fun of the idea of being old and disconnected from popular culture, there's a perfectly good example of where you actually are and have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's other people doing stuff about what's going on. You can watch Horn and Corden, can't you, if you want to see all the new pop music being made fun of.
Yeah.
I felt that if I had a gun, I would be equal to anyone who comes to me to kill me.
Very good close camera work there, isn't there? From, I wonder who it was. I think it was Tony.
Tony on the...
Yeah.
It's fun doing that joke here, but of course the danger is broadcast.
We've got names.
Yeah, I'm just having a look. Tony...
Now, this addressing the camera, talking to everyone at home, what how did this sort of come about for you?
It came out of, you know, trying to hold on to the live feel, but also make it like television. And on television, people, you know, directly address the viewer. But I think it jumps out more because you're not expecting it, because it's got a live feel.
And you turn your back on the audience, which I quite like.
This was filmed in Watford Shopping Centre. This young lad job, Angus. He's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
He's really, really good, and he got everything off first time. He's brilliant. Yeah, someone else had to drive that, and then he was swapped over.
Right.
And that sausage coming out, that was actually the producer, Richard Webb's idea. I wanted something to come out, but I thought it was going to be a gun or something, and he said, why not the Grange Hill sausage?
Tremendous
Yeah.
job by the art department, too.
Yeah.
And I wonder how baffling that would be to anyone of a certain age or
Well, you know.
under a certain age. Think, what the hell's that?
Even if they were confused, it's still a nice image, isn't it?
Yeah. But that kind of thing, again, like a lot of the shows, people, you know, are saying we've got to make it accessible and whatever, but also there's something nice about thinking that you'd have to be between 35 and 45 to get that.
Yeah.
Because everything's pitched to everyone, so why not have something to close people out?
Delivering the new Harry Potters on forklift trucks, on pallets, into the supermarket. Get your books, pile up the books.
This image was pointed out to me by Andy Miller, who's a writer who wrote a book about the Kinks. He said he'd seen the Harry Potter books being taken into the supermarket on pallets. So I rang him up and said, is it all right if I use some of your conversation that you had with me under normal circumstances as material? And the rest of this is based on conversations I've had repeatedly with Kevin Eldon saying, have you read the new Harry Potter book?
Well, it is true that I did this about 5 years ago. I said, have you read? He said no. And then you'd say, have you read Janet and John go on a picnic with Spot? I go, well, I know what you're doing, but I think you'll find that Harry, have you read The Baby Ladybird Has a Bath? And then actually, in retrospect, I've gone, yeah, why am I reading that when there's Proust to read?
Well, yeah, and then you've read War and Peace and everything, haven't you?
I have. Only took me 2 years.
Yeah.
It's the names that got me.
And funny enough, Andy Miller's writing a book about that, isn't he? Reading all those novels that you're supposed to read before you die.
Yeah.
And he's just reading them one after the other, and I'm going to write a book about it.
In that bit just before there, when I say I've read William Blake, so fuck off, that's one of only 2 swear words in the series, and that was put in at the behest of the producer, Richard Webb, who said it just made it much funnier to have a swear word in it there. Which was weird, because I hadn't really got any in the series, and normally they're trying to get you to cut them out. I think he felt it was a bit swearing light, so he put some extra swearing in there.
You don't do swearing in your act anyway, do you?
Not really, no.
I think the best people don't. You don't need it.
But what about Sadovitz? He's one of the best people. He does brilliant swearing.
That is true, actually. But there's exception to prove the fucking rule.
What I love about doing telly, having not done it for such a long time, is getting people to make books and props and stuff like that. And that was Simon in the Simon Walker, the design. There's Kevin there. And how did you feel about this Irish racial stereotype?
Well, actually, this is one of those examples where to sort of get the character. I've done something that I've never done on television, which is appear without any makeup on at all. I just, I let vanity go to the wall and just let the camera do its work.
It's like, you remind me of the very early Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Frederick March.
Oh, yeah.
It's a bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
This was a great honour to have Michael Redmond, who's one of my favourite comics when I started out.
And a lovely man.
And a very nice man, being the goat. I don't know how much sense this made to people. It was based on the song by Val Doonican, Paddy McGuinty's Goat. Yeah, now, there's that goat there, that's white. That was made by the props department to match up with the...
Look at me making it move, look.
Yeah,
looks like a real one, doesn't it?
What he did, he sort of struggled with it.
Basically, there's a suggestion of caprophilia here, isn't there?
Yeah, and a great voiceover from Peter Serafinovich, who I said, can you do the accent as if you're an English actor trying to do an Irish accent? And did it really well.
I shut my eyes and submitted.
I know that you get hundreds of letters a week of people asking for advice who find themselves in similar situations to yours. What sort of thing do you say to them?
I don't bother reading them, to be honest with you.
He's impro'd these, didn't you?
Yeah, we did about an hour and a half of it, and there's loads and loads of it, which we'll be saving for the Outtakes Volume 2. Here's Paul Putner playing a farmer on the road.
Stalin.
It is like Stalin,
But
yeah.
didn't this day was one of the most kind of traumatic, wasn't it? Filming days.
Well, you see that goat there, right? The problem, there was only about one mistake made by the art department in the whole thing, and it was there, where they got a white goat for the back of the bike, a white goat costume for Michael Redman, and they brought a black goat in, right, which didn't match
Why did
up.
that look white in that picture just then?
Because it's been treated somehow, but it was the wrong colour, and they were honestly standing around while you were waiting to be filmed, discussing whether they could paint the goat in some way.
Spray paint the goat?
Yeah. And in the end I went, we'll just, do it from a distance. I was worried it on the day I was getting in everyone's way, because, I was worried it looked too elaborate and sophisticated, that whole sequence, to look like the kind of bit you'd get on a telly books programme. But I was wrong, and they did it really, really well. I think if you're used to doing fringe theatre, and stuff like that, and your immediate reaction is to make everything look like it's cheap, and then have the fun of that. But they did it really well.
Remember what Michael's opening line in his stand-up act used to be?
Yeah, a lot of people say to me, "Get out of my garden."
Yeah.
Much disputed, that line. A lot of people, because Joe Pasquale had it as well, of course.
Oh, so I wonder whose it was really.
Well, Michael Redman talks about, how he thought of it and everything. I mean, and Joe Pasquale had a whole different story about how he invented it. But it's probably Michael Redman, isn't it? Certainly, I've done loads of material about that, and Joe Pasquale's never sued me.
Until he hears the documentary and a DVD commentary on this. Yeah.
One long anecdote about the time that Comedy Dave put pound coins in the urinal. In short, the man who had read everything published
Sorry,
today
I was just distracted.
was more stupid than a man who had read nothing.
Yeah.
Good.
That's not a good state of affairs.
Well, it's difficult to know how to end, isn't it?
Toilet book.
These things.
Is it how to... Yeah, you can't really do a song and dance routine. Well, you could, but...
What made you decide to theme each show?
Well, I thought it would. Basically, that's how I do it in the live shows. Normally, they've got like an hour and a half theme going through them, and I'd do that again if they gave us a second series. I'd definitely do themes again. But it's just a good way of tying everything together, and also, when things get written about or reviewed or praised by people in newspapers, they never really talk about style, or all they can really talk about is subject material. So you have to give them something to get hold of. This is episode 2. This is called Television. Now, there was a debate about whether to put this one first or second, and it was felt that the sketches and film bits in this one were better than in books, but that the stand-up was better in books. And everyone wanted this one to go out first, but I argued, perhaps wrongly, that it should go out second, because I'm really uncomfortable about the stand-up in this, and I think we did 2 passes at it, and I never really got it. I think I look nervous. You can see I'm hanging on for grim death to the microphone. And some of the stuff I'd done a lot of times, and I think particularly the Del Boy routine at the end had gone off the boil a bit by the time I came to film it, but I was not comfortable with this at all. But maybe if this had gone out first, the series would have been perceived differently, maybe better, maybe worse, who knows.
Were you nervous because it was the first recording?
Well, the first, I made a big deal about wanting to do these in front of an audience in a club, and to not have the safety net of it being a studio where you can clean everything up afterwards. And we recorded them over 4 nights. And the Monday and Tuesday, they were still working out the lighting levels. I was a bit uncomfortable. The audience weren't as loosened up. And this is pretty much the only show where we used a lot of anything from the first 2 nights, where they just seemed a bit flat. And I mean, I'm not the pauses in this. I'm not really playing the laughs in the room. I'm doing it from my memory of how it should have been, because it didn't go that well in the room, really. I was very pleased with this sushi version of a Ian Curtis song.
It's good.
It is strange that reminded me of just seeing like Iggy Pop advertising insurance and Johnny Rotten with butter. It's not that far off the truth, is it? Really?
No, but at least they had a say in it.
Yeah.
You know, whereas
poor old Ian Curtis didn't.
I mean, there's another one last night on those BT adverts with that awful bloke with a big jaw in them, where they're using "Which Will" by Nick Drake, and you just think that song means such a lot to so many people. Don't use it to sell phones.
Yeah.
In the mid-'80s, I think they got through some kind of copyright loop with the Beatles songs, and they used Help for an underarm deodorant.
Right.
There's John Lennon talking about his existential dread in 1965.
Yeah.
Being reduced to that.
Television's not what it was. My mum says that as a child, I learned to speak.
Well, that's a true story about my mum. She said that I said Pierrot watching Play School and Rocket Mummy during the moon landings, which makes us all feel a bit old, doesn't it? Remember the moon landings?
One of the first words you said was Pierrot.
Pierrot, yeah. The French clown.
You're quite a vain man.
I was, yeah.
Quite a vain boy.
The fact you were able to recognise that the T was silent.
Yeah. What a wah.
But you didn't even say
Silent T either side.
Yes. Didn't say nougat.
Who knows?
Say nugget.
Shouts as loudly as possible the word bogies over and over again.
No, I read reviews of this where they said the cutaways to the shots of lights and things were pretentious, but I quite like them. I thought it's better than cutting away to a person laughing, I think, to see a light.
There's a few little flashbacks to Leon Herring's Richard Not Judy this morning show.
Oh, in this one, yeah, there were loads.
Yes.
Yeah. It was because I found it so hard to know how to start the shows.
28 years old.
King Toby jug filled to the brim with
Did you see when Armando was on the One show?
With Adrian Chiles.
Yes, and him just slightly peeved. He obviously had heard about it.
Yeah.
But let him on. And
again, it's weird. Review things like what I say there is talking to Adrian Chiles is like watching Adrian Chiles is like being stuck in the buffet car of a slow-moving express train in the company of a Toby jug that somehow learned how to speak. A Toby jug filled to the brim with hot piss. And I read a review saying I describe Adrian Chiles as a Toby jug full of piss. Right. And it's like not the same, is it?
No, it's not the same.
That's just really. I hate it when they do that.
Yeah.
When you really work on constructing something and then.
ITV1, Bantam Deck Saturday Night Takeaway.
Now we're coming up now to one of Paul's finest moments, the TV splurge. There's a lot of vomiting and puking on television now, and I thought if we were going to do that, we had to try and do more than anyone else had done. So this forthcoming bit, they had to build a tank, didn't they, and sit you in it basically.
that's right. It was a
with Catherine Bradshaw.
and it was at the end of the day, and it'd been. I think I'd been Hitler in the morning. And
Again,
and I was to have this sort of weird gel sprayed at me for 100 miles per hour from this spray gun fitted into this prop television, and they said, do you want to wear a suit, a wetsuit? No, it's hot under the studio lights. Do you want to wear a kind of plastic chest shield? No, we'll be all right, okay. So I just thought, all I'll do is take a big, deep breath before it hits me in the face.
well, you can see it's slightly off-centre and it's hitting Catherine Bradshaw
I know,
mainly.
she took the bulk of it.
When she had a safety signal arranged with the assistant director Mark Hedges, where if she wanted it to stop, she could raise her hand. And she's raising her hand, you can see.
I know, but it just...
But I don't think he was sure whether she was acting or whether it was the safety, so he did stop it early. I mean, there could have been more.
Well, because as soon as the stuff hits you, it blows all the wind out of yourself, and you go, oh my goodness, and you're fighting for breath. So you can see I turn my head to the right, go...
You only had one go at this, didn't you, really? You couldn't do it again.
I did it once.
That's right, and we held off from doing it about 8 times. They went cut just before it happened. And we had to sort of sit there passively as if we're just watching, some kind of...
The hand is up there, isn't it?
Yeah, you can see her hands up, yeah. But she's very, very good at recovering her composure. That's a real Oliver Hardy move from you there.
Terrible.
Wringing out the sleeve.
Yeah. You got to do a bit of that. Oh, this stuff was even thicker. Ew.
How could anyone not enjoy? I think that's so funny. I really love that.
Well, you can have there are fetishes like this, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. And then I do the
Good cross leg.
the Tex Avery spit out of the mouth. Yeah.
There's another pretentious shot of lights there. She's very, very good, Catherine Bradshaw. It was a great... we were really lucky to get her. She's proper.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And again, very nice.
Yes. Well, they all were. It's funny when you work on your own all the time. It's nice being in a team with those people.
Apparently, it's quite hard on DVD commentaries with actors always going, "Oh, they were lovely, a fantastic person."
Yeah.
So let's just slag everyone off.
Well, we ought to, really. Or, if someone comes on and we just say nothing. So let everybody else make their own inference.
Hey, I'm just going to talk about how great the lighting in this room is, which is all down to John Walker.
The room where we're
head
making this
cameraman.
commentary, or
But no, what?
oh, in the studio.
In the studio. And John Walker, who was head camera on Attention Scum, which we did with Simon Munnery, and then that was the last telly I did, really. And he did Look Around You as well with the director of this, Tim Kirkby.
Yeah.
But he really made this room look great. I think by the end of the week, he'd really it's got the vibe of a club, but it's still lit well enough for telly.
Never commissioned any programme as appalling as Andrew Lloyd Webber's Any Dream Will Do.
This next bit, where there's a sort of sketch all about how you couldn't have a TV programme to select people for a Samuel Beckett play, was when Chris Morris, the script editor, really came into his own. We went round and round on this for days and days because he was very concerned that he wanted the point to be made, but he didn't want it to be expressed in such a way as it would exclude people who perhaps didn't know anything about Samuel Beckett, which was really, really thoughtful and great. And we tried to do this throughout the show. Whenever there was something that referred to something a bit esoteric or clever, we tried to make sure that the joke wasn't that you had to know about that thing, and that it would be obvious from the information contained in the thing that, what it was.
Was it by chance that there is that production with Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen?
Yeah, it's a complete coincidence. Didn't know it was coming up.
Lucky in a way,
Yeah, we were lucky with loads of things like that. Yeah. Things suddenly started to seem prescient, like in week 6 when we did stuff about Bill Hicks. Suddenly, it was some anniversary of him dying or being born or something, and so he was in the papers a lot.
Yeah.
15 years, I think it was, since he died.
Yeah.
King Andrew Lloyd Webber, rich on your purloined gold.
I had a lot of. I wasn't allowed to say stolen. I wasn't allowed to say that Andrew Lloyd Webber had stolen people's money.
That's just a synonym, isn't it?
Yeah, purloined. Yeah, but they said I could say purloined. I think purloin's a bit more. It suggests Andrew Lloyd Webber kind of crept round, and he was like a pickpocket in Victorian England.
He just stole in tights.
Cut purse.
There's only about 3 things though in the script actually that they said you can't say that, and one of them was saying Andrew Lloyd Webber's stolen your money. And the choreographer who came in on this and helped us choreograph the Samuel Beckett dance was Carol Fletcher from Hot Gossip. Arlene Phillips's Hot Gossip, his 70s erotic dancers. This extra really looked like Samuel Beckett, but Peter Serafinovich revoiced it. But he came in with real old man's hair, and they gave him a brilliant haircut, and then he now had cool hair.
Casting one of the best-loved characters from 20th century experimental theatre. From Waiting for Godot.
I think this production of Waiting for Godot, again, we were lucky to get this footage, because you think, well, that looks like art, and it doesn't look like you're making fun of it, And this was such good fun doing this, because having done Jerry Springer the Opera, I spent literally about 14 months of my life in auditions of music theatre people, and just getting Carol to choreograph something that looked like music theatre was really terrific.
And that's Graham Norton there,
It's Peter Serafinovich doing Graham Norton. Yeah, he's fantastic, isn't he?
Brilliant mimic.
Yeah, he's so good at voices, it's like he's mad, actually. Yeah. He's possessed by the spirits of the people. And that's that again from a different angle.
Yeah,
you can really see how hard that was for her there.
There's still one thing that the BBC do brilliantly, and that is David Attenborough. The BBC do the thing of David Attenborough brilliantly. David Attenborough believes in television.
I
David
hate watching
Attenborough
this one because I can
believes
see how
that you could
uncomfortable I am.
learn about insects.
Doesn't
by
look
making a
like it.
documentary
I know, but
with
that's
looking at
because
sex knives and
that's because
habits and their
the makeup and costume people did such an amazing job. Lucy on the makeup and Sam Perry on the wardrobe. They managed to minimise
Well, they're
my
horrible, actually. Those two.
decrepitude.
What goes through your mind when are you sort of thinking, I'm Stewart Lee on stage, what am I doing here? I should be at home, or are you just... Is there a kind of do you step out of yourself?
That's when he feels on home.
Well, you know, nerve-wracking as it is, it's much less nerve-wracking than going to a meeting or having to talk to a stranger or someone you never met. But it is. But these were just. You just felt like such a lot was riding on this. Not so much personally, but that so many people had gone out on a limb to make it happen and worked so hard on it. You didn't want to let everyone down. So that was a real
kind of onus that you put on it that you don't normally put on just a normal gig.
Yeah.
Up at Edinburgh Festival. Or something.
Yeah, because you can, if you want to ruin that, it's up to you. But this had lots of people had to sort of stand as your guarantors and say, look, it'll be all right. He can do it. I mean, I look so knackered on it. I think.
They never grow old. We grow old. You grow old, I grow old.
Now, you've worked with Ant and Dec, haven't you?
Yeah, a long time ago, about 15 years ago. We had them in Fist of Fun, in one episode with Richard Herring, and then they had us in their ITV children's sketch show. I think they were really great. And back then, you know, and I was supposed to write something for them at one point. I was going to write them a sitcom where they were lighthouse keepers, but they decided to do a remake of The Lightly Lads instead.
But Ant and Dec do not grow old as we that are left grow old.
I'm sure you could work with Dick and Dom maybe and
the new ones.
Give them the Lighthouse sitcom, and then they'd go away and make the remake of Men Behaving Badly or something.
Simon Munnery and Miles Jupp reviving their partnership that I gave them on stage. I've been doing these plays with them where they're various historical characters, and they look. I mean, Simon does look like Peter Cushing in a Hammer film here, doesn't he?
Yeah,
both got Victorian faces, haven't they?
Yeah.
I think about it.
Throwing insects into the berry brown face of Robert Kilroy's silk.
There's some of these specific things you like. Berry brown face.
That's what my mum used to say. That you go brown as a berry.
And I was thinking of this folk song actually, Willie of Wilmsbury, where it's got some metaphor about a woman being berry brown in it. And,
Berries are red, really, in my knowledge.
well, you know, it was different in the old days.
I suppose it was. Everything was in sepia. I suppose red was brown in those days.
I remember seeing the BBC TV production of this in the mid-70s.
Of Dorian Gray.
Dorian Gray. It absolutely terrified me. It was the fact the picture, not when it was really old and decrepit, it was when it was just starting to disfigure. That's what frightened me more. The mouth was sloping and...
Nerds would like to know that the reference I gave the art department for this was the cover of Marvel Comics' Marvel Zombies series.
Still make the best nature documentaries, but the most successful
Another shot of a light there.
documentary of all time is actually the worst nature documentary of all time, and that is March of the Penguins. David Attenborough wouldn't make a film.
This suit, I had to go and have this suit made because to try and make me look less fat, and also because I haven't got any clothes to wear on the telly, and I had to go to a man who makes clothes for Katie Price, Jordan, made it.
Right.
In a kind of ethical, caring way.
It's a nice whistle.
Decided that this meant
Were you allowed to keep it?
wanted us to be good.
Or do you not want to keep it?
Well, I have to keep it in case there's a series 2.
Is it...
Would you not get a fresh one? Do you need a fresh suit?
Well, I don't know. I suppose that's outlay. You know, that outlay. I mean, I could try and put on loads more weight to get another suit. I suppose.
There's a funny. I remember hearing a funny story of Jimmy Nail when he was filming Spender. He used to take all his suits home, these costumes. He used to order in these nice suits, and then people were saying to him, "You're wearing your costume." And he said, "I'll stop doing that." Skinflint.
Well, you know, I normally I'd have just thought it was my right to walk off with any clothes, but in the current climate of expenses being questioned. You know.
So you haven't got a suit in your own personal wardrobe that you or they would have been happy to stroll on stage with?
No, let's give me that. Yeah. I've got a moat though that I got from the series and a ornamental duck island. I had my wisteria trimmed.
Raping that dead mallard
Did-
in his dead ass.
Yeah.
That was actually interestingly there. That I used to say "fucking that dead mallard" on stage, and they made me change it because they said you can't swear, so I had to say "raping," which I think sounds much worse.
Yeah.
But it's funny. Richard Webb couldn't decide, the producer, about swearing. 1 minute he's making you put it in, the next minute he's taking it out.
And did you have to ring up Brian Conley to take the raping the mallard gag?
Why has he got that? Has he got a raping
Yeah,
the mallard?
apparently.
Oh right.
No, not
There's an inaccurate documentary about Morgan Freeman, narrated by a dishonest penguin.
And this was from the pilot, wasn't it?
This again was shot by Michael Cumming in the pilot. Beautifully done. Long shot of the Morgan Freeman penguin. That's me doing the voiceover of a penguin. And I believe you've worked with this lady before, Kevin.
Had I worked with her before? I remember. No, I'm not sure if I have. Oh, God. Yes. And
It must be really strange to do this and not know, to act it and not know what it was going to be.
yeah.
But March of Penguins is the most successful documentary of all time. Any Dream will do, a hugely rated television programme. It's very difficult to know
This
what it is you
bit
want,
about
what
Del
is
Boy
it
falling through the bar, I was in this.
Programme
There was a
makers and
poll on
chefs.
Channel 4 of the best stand-ups ever, and I came in at number 41, and I'm sure that I didn't get that many votes, but probably at the time, because I was getting good press, they felt that they ought to put me in somewhere. But it made me think about all these lists of things, of stuff coming out as the best thing of all time, and the funniest bit of television ever is Del Boy falling through the bar. And actually, I didn't really have an opinion about it before I wrote this bit, but I think it is really brilliant when you watch it.
Except that when he falls over, the natural reaction would be to stop yourself in some way, but he doesn't, and therefore it is basically untruthful. And as comedy is truth, it fails on every level.
You can also slightly see his feet flip up, so you know he hit something soft.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
because he's actually got
rubbish.
his elbow, so he'd be getting up and sort of crying probably because he's getting on a bit, and
Yeah.
Trigger would be concerned. And
Yeah, but the timing of it is
No,
superb.
it's pretty.
He would
It's
do his
funny.
elbow in, he'd have concussion. Is that funny?
Falling through the bar.
I was really pleased with this, though, that even though this isn't a great performance of it, and I think I'd done this a lot better live, and it had gone off the boil a bit for here. But just the fact that you get something you never see on television much, which is a lot of empty frames, and there's some great shots that Tim Kirkby chose, where you're looking across the heads of people at nothing. There's nothing on stage. And when I used to script edit the Harry Hill shows, the director of that, Robin Nash, who was old school BBC and was brilliant, he hated empty frames. He wouldn't even let us have someone walk out of a frame at the end of a sketch. So to see this sort of breaking the grammar of comedy television, I was really pleased. I was pleased generally the amount of dead air and space they let into this. But I'm glad I don't have to do this again, because I was really hurting my head doing it.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, because I'm not an actor. I can't.
Right.
I don't know how to protect. I did this like 50, 100 times on stage, and
I would have made sure, if I were you, that there were a rubberised part of the stage, so that I found my spot and lay down there, just where the head is.
Yeah. In the stand in Edinburgh, I used to do it against the back wall, and usually there was like a banner hanging, so you could bang your head on the banner and it wouldn't matter. And then one night it wasn't there, and I really clobbered myself on the stone.
And it's a strange thing, 'cause you just plough on, don't you, if you've
Yeah.
hurt yourself on stage. And
Also, there's something funny about a close-up of a man obviously actually hurting his own head that it wouldn't be if I. Look at that, nothing there. I think they did such a good job there.
now, this is interesting because it's like I heard someone say that it might sounded like you and Richard having a conversation.
Yeah,
Richard
I know.
Herring.
I read that. Yeah, it sounds like the other voice that I do is Richard. Well, again, I sort of feel on some level it's like being nagged by someone,
Yeah.
and I suppose that's what a double act is, isn't it? It's a lot of.
Yeah.
It's like bickering
Yeah.
between people. So yeah, it does sound like him. It wasn't something I was aware of.
I suppose it's the attitude, isn't it, which
Yeah.
comes out.
It does sound like him, but then it may be because we did four years
Yeah.
together. But
Fools and Horses, burn it into the retina of my eye, so that every time I blink, I see a light bulb textured image of Del Boy falling through the bar on Only Fools and Horses.
Again, I was pleased to get that kind of shot onto television of just, you know, of just empty space.
I love
and
that shot.
You know, yeah.
For the last time. I'll go to
Also, again, I read bad reviews of it on the internet of people going, the audience are clearly embarrassed and uncomfortable. That's sort of the point, really, and he wanted to capture it. He wanted to capture that feeling of them thinking, oh, God, what's this supposed to be? When's it going to stop, you know?
That's what you like.
And this was, again, this next sketch was shot by Michael Cumming for the pilot. And, I mean, we had such a great day doing this. I'll let you two take over and talk about it.
What was amazing on this day was the fact that the one of the original walk-on supporting artists was in the actual
That guy,
Del Boy scene.
that guy with the horns there was the...
Which one was it?
He was the waiter.
Oh, right, that's right.
How amazing. He said,
In-
oh, yeah, I was in the original version of this. Yeah, I kind of based this guy on Peter Gibbs from This Morning with Richard Not Judy, yeah. I imagine it's the same bloke who's got over his beetroot fixation.
And there's no harm in it, no harm at all.
I love these costumes.
Yeah, it's
that,
one of my favourite ever costumes I think I've had.
Sam made.
Yeah.
Will Smith.
Yeah. I'm glad this got back in because this wasn't in the pilot.
Right.
Hence this kind of outlandish garb, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it was really nice to do this, like, because basically, by the end of the day, there were loads of people there watching this being dropped, and it just felt like a folk festival for real. This was largely improvised again with you, Kev, wasn't it?
Yeah, we just improvised all the way through, really. And again, there's about 10 minutes of it. And
I do remember just turning up in the morning to the location and just seeing the giant Del Boy at sort of 6 in the morning, just standing in the middle of this green and thinking, I love this job.
yeah,
I'm so lucky.
but it was a big production number. Lots of people. Ah, yes,
Justin.
Be the ladies in the wine bar who tempt Del Boy to his almighty fall. So often with these
Stupid.
And again, impro'd largely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Del Boy's pride, Del Boy's lust that lead him, like Adam, to fall.
When was this? Late 2007?
It was November 2007, and then we shot the series a year later.
Yeah.
And where is Ferrety St Margaret really?
It's in near Watford. I can't remember what it's called, the actual village. But that church was used in Little Britain a lot, apparently. But then they stopped letting them use it after the scene where he suckles his mother in the church. He's suckled by his mother in the church.
Yeah, this is real Wicker Man territory, isn't it?
But it was fantastic being in that audience as well.
And that's Martin White, doesn't he? He's going to be playing the accordion later on, yeah. And the theme of Only Fools and Horses.
It's interesting, again, like that crowd of people, by the end of the day, they'd become like a community. Yeah.
Nice matching.
But I do wonder what someone like David Jason would make just watching this. It'd be so
I think he'd be annoyed, but I don't think he'd know why. Because it's sort of like a tribute as well.
He might be delighted.
Might be, yeah.
Can we get him? Can we get him, please? Can we get Jason on the line?
Now, technically, I wasn't allowed to do this because this breaks health and safety regulations. Because there was no safety mat underneath there, and this wasn't a load-bearing structure and all that sort of thing. But
You could have bruised your shoulder.
I know, but I just had to do it because, again, if they'd stopped and put a crash mat in, you know, it just would not have been funny. Because part of what's funny for the audience is the risk that you might drop off.
Michael Crawford used to roller skate under lorries.
Yeah, I know, but it was different in the old days.
I suppose it was, really, wasn't
It's
it?
political correctness now.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
Will you be repeating it at work? No.
The other exciting thing about this was I sort of wanted it to fail. I wanted it to tail away. And luckily, we only ever had one go at this, and it did do what I wanted, which was to stop being funny and then try and get something out of it.
So deliberately in the hope that I will fall to my death. And
Again, that's a weird thing about reading the reviews of it afterwards, is most of them, they sort of got the idea, but some you'd think they go, X didn't work and that wasn't funny, and it kind of wasn't meant to be anyway.
And where have you left me? Literally hanging, because the point at where I thought the routine would peak turned out to be about 90 seconds earlier than where I thought it was.
So when you did you sort of plan all the climbing on the railing? When did this come about?
I thought I'd go over there, but I didn't know exactly what I was going to say. But I knew that if I tried to talk logically about what was going on whilst hanging upside down and addressing the camera, it would sooner or later they would clap.
Yes. It's funny when you take a risk like that.
Yeah.
It's like, I remember seeing something with the Kaiser Chiefs where the Ricky Wilson decided, I'll be like Damon Albarn and climb up the speakers.
Yeah.
And you see who's obviously stuck up there and sort of gingerly climbing down, a bit scared, and just didn't quite have the same effect. Oh, here we are again.
Pretentious rubbish.
Put it on 4 again?
God. And we sat in this little pool, that was it. There was a kind of little wall round the edge of this, so that our feet were about in a foot of sludge. But yeah, she's clearly in trouble.
Circus people. There was a version of this in the pilot, and then which Michael Cummings shot, and then Tim sort of tried to give it this kind of theatre opening sequence from the film Grand Prix kind of feel of all the split screens. And Richard Webb was very good at directing me here. He said, try and look a bit happier than you normally do, which I did, and it did make it funnier.
Very, very cold day that was, wasn't it, when you recorded that?
Oh, freezing.
And they were all in their leotards.
Yeah.
I'd gone home by then.
This episode's called Political Correctness, and again, I went round and round in circles with Chris Morris, the script editor, trying to make sure that it was obvious that I thought the idea that political correctness had gone mad was slightly ridiculous, rather than that I was making fun of the idea of political correctness. But, you know, most comedy now that deals with that subject does it from the point of view that political correctness has gone mad, rather than there's a problem with the perception of the idea of political correctness. So hopefully...
Takes the John Gaunt.
Yeah, I mean, it's been weird, actually. When I was running these things in stand-up clubs, one night I wanted to try this routine out, but it would have meant I'd followed a woman who'd just done 20 minutes on political correctness gone mad, and it would have looked like I literally was trying to make fun of her for the whole of my act, so I kind of didn't do it. But
just did some juggling.
Just did juggling and the puppet stuff.
Possible for him to play the machines. And
this story about the service station, my son in the service station, was completely true. I wish I could remember exactly which service station it was that we were told that he couldn't go in the gambling area because at 18 months old he was under 18 years old.
Who told you what kind of...
Well, first of all, it came across on a tannoy, and then a woman came over and remonstrated with me. But the same service station, everything in it was closed. It was impossible to buy food, but it was important that they were policing the gambling area. Here's Paul Putner as Hitler.
Yes. That was interesting, because I was, when you gave this to me, I only ever had the German version, so I had to have it translated and an audio to kind of learn it. And it's great fun to play him. But they had to find a kind of tubby Hitler costume. Yes.
And you've been inserted over actual footage, I think. There.
There's more of that later, I believe. Yeah.
I'll give an example of what I mean.
Sean Gray, the researcher, got one of his friends who did German to translate what I'd written into German. So I don't know why they didn't just give you the original, rather than you having to translate it back.
I know.
Very complicated.
Einmal mehr der Begriff auf der schwarzen Liste benutzt. You don't forget it.
Yeah.
You spoke that very well. Did you do German at school? Because it was well delivered.
Well, it was just listening to the audio over and over again. And
it was a fine renditioning of the Hitler.
Did you enjoy being Hitler?
It's a strange feeling, because I was walking around the BBC television centre as Hitler and saw George Elagaya, the news reporter and journalist, and he smiled, and I saw Dale Winton, who said hello too.
This story about finding a single shoe backstage at Battersea Arts Centre was completely 100% true, and then I did go out on stage and try and talk about it. But sadly, I lost the actual shoe. So this was a replacement shoe. And then...
you probably left it in a dressing room.
Well, I don't know. It actually turned up about a week ago when I was moving. I found it again.
Oh, right.
But I wish I'd been able to use the real one, because there was something really pitiful about the original shoe. But this one was a good replacement. But again, I mean, it's sort of... I don't think I'd ever written this unless it had really happened. But knowing in my head that it did happen and I did find this shoe, you could do it with a degree of conviction.
Can you imagine if this was in 3D? It would have been amazing. A little
If
bit.
it had been in 3D, it would have been a hit William Castle film in the 1940s.
Yeah.
Someone at home going, now what is this? What is happening?
A child's version of 1984. Child's ballet show forever stamping on the face of humanity.
Yeah.
Child's ballet shoe pushed towards my face. Well, it appears you did.
Again, I think, you know what, seeing that there, I think that's a steal from a heckle put down that Simon Munnery did once, when someone shouted out, "We didn't pay to see this." Right. And he said, "It appears you did."
Why is that there? There's only two possible reasons why that can be there on the floor in the dressing room, and neither of them are good.
He was good at the put down. He's good at the put downs, Munnery.
Yeah.
When people didn't like the show, he used to walk out in the league against Tedium. They used to walk out and he'd go and take your shame with you.
Yeah, I mean, I learnt a lot from when I directed Attention Scum, his TV series. I learnt a lot from that. This was 10 years ago. In as much as he was very keen on not doing it in studios and going and doing the material in front of real people in real places.
Yeah.
And my initial plan for this was that I wanted to film every set twice, once in here where it would work, and then once somewhere where it wouldn't, like a cross-channel ferry or a car park or something. But I ended up just doing it in the club. But the way that he did the stand-up for Attention Scum on telly, to me, seemed to be the best way to do stand-up on telly, like in front of real people in a real place, because there's something just weirdly sterile about a studio audience, particularly if it contains Gok Wan or some celebrity that you cut to.
Weren't some people in the BBC keen on you doing this in a studio set made up?
Yeah. Well, at one point
like
they wanted
a club.
it in a studio, and another point they wanted it in a studio set made to look like a club.
A BBC comedy programme has sparked
Tara Flynn again with her many voices.
Why did you have her sitting on a throne? Just out of interest, because they lord over us.
Yeah, and she looks a bit like Princess Diana. No good reason, really. This was all done where they had to wear blue stockings, didn't you? And then they were blue screened out.
Yeah, so they took one of our legs away digitally.
To watch a television comedy programme without there being anything in it that we don't completely agree with.
According to the one-legged ballerina family of Lutterworth.
I remember nearly dying after playing football like that for ages. It was, I fell over with exhaustion twice. Actually fell over with exhaustion.
This is Sarah Tom, who I'd seen doing a lot of theatre stuff. And this sketch was strange again, because it was written last year. And then, in the light of the Jonathan Ross, Russell Brand complaint scandal, it suddenly seemed like it was meant to be satirical about public reactions to things.
Furious one-legged ballerinas have been demonstrating against the comedian Stewart.
Yeah, there was no reason for that, other than I thought it would look funny, and that bloke's face is just brilliant,
He's
isn't
a
it?
good lookalike, me.
Yeah.
I love it when you have to cut to different parts of the world. It's always landmarks, isn't it?
Tomorrow, the case will be presented to the Broadcasting Ombudsman. If he finds in the BBC's favour...
Look at the way he fixes his gaze on the camera, he's really superb. Again, that works so well, it made me, if I had my time again, I'd put Unnecessary Archbishops of Canterbury into loads of sketches, just because that guy looks really funny. That's me made up as a clown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a Piero.
As a Piero, in fact, yeah.
On the same note, I've recently started going to Weight Watchers.
Again, this story about Weight Watchers was completely true. About going, it was actually a Weight Watchers in Stamford Hill Library in London N16. But when I did it on the radio, they made me change the nationality of the people involved. And when I did it on the telly here, they made me change it to Finsbury Park. But this is the only routine that crosses over with anything that's otherwise available, really. And you can see this on my live DVD with the correct place names in it, because the lawyers for that didn't feel it was necessary to change them. But it's funny anxiety about that sort of thing.
Why did the radio people make you change the nationalities?
Well, because in this story I talk about an elderly Polish man making a face at me, and I was worried that he was going to say something racist. And they said that it would be libelous to suggest that this man was thinking something racist.
Libelous to the Polish race?
To him. Oh, if he could work out who he was, because it was based on a real person.
That's pathetic.
So, yeah, but then the BBC Radio 4 said, was he Polish? And I went, I think so, but he might have been Russian, you know. So they changed it from Polish to Russian, but he might have been Russian anyway, so I don't know. And then for the telly, we changed the location of the Weight Watchers from Stoke Newington to Finsbury Park.
Well, that's nearly 2/3 of a mile.
Yeah, I know, but it's funny. It's different because, like, if you live in London, something about Stamford Hill and Stoke Newington, it's more multicultural than Finsbury Park. It sort of seems like the right place to have an encounter with an elderly Pole and a young Muslim woman and a Jewish woman in a Weight Watchers, whereas Finsbury Park's not that mixed up, is it? You know.
Well, I don't know. I think it is. I lived in Finsbury Park. There's all rainbow hues of the
rainbow
there, of the rainbow there.
Mark Lamar.
Colours and cultures and races and shapes and sizes. It's like a United Nations day out to a fun fair hall of mirrors.
It's a smashing gag, that. Stewart, it's a smashing gag.
My local priest stopped me in the street the other day to talk about this bit. Said he'd seen it on the telly, and he thought it looked like it was going to be racist, but then it wasn't. And that was a priest talking, so that's good.
Yeah.
Coffee and Anne would look at himself in a slimming mirror.
Is he a proper priest, not a vicar?
Yeah, Catholic priest, yeah.
And he was overweight.
This Coffee and Anne bit, I just started improvising with it on stage, and it got longer and longer, and I don't think it's a good joke, but I thought it was worth doing it at length. And then got Stephen K. Amos in.
Coffee and Anne every day.
That's what I like about the series, is that you do have, like, kind of serious points to make, and then there's just these stupidly childish moments.
I hope
as
so.
well. So it kind of you kind of prick the pomposity that could be perceived.
That's what I don't like about it.
Another brilliantly observed Peter Serafinovich voiceover here.
Yes.
I asked Steve to do this because I'd seen him do this thing, Stephen K. Amos, on stage in New Zealand. When we were in New Zealand, he went out the first week in the Auckland Festival and talked in this kind of voice, for about 10 minutes. And the people of Auckland were so polite that they sat through it thinking that he was from another country and didn't quite know how to speak English. And then when he went, of course, I don't really talk like that. The relief of sort of 1,000 people in this massive theatre was palpable. It was really funny.
I was in the queue waiting to get weighed. You queue up to get weighed, don't you? And about two or three in front of me, there was a young Muslim woman, about 23 years old, and she was wearing the hijab. This is the headscarf they wear because there's a taboo in Islam about men seeing hair. And she turned around to me.
I was really lucky that this whole story happened to me basically as described, and then you sort of leave it and you think, well, I've got a routine now. I mean, there's 20 minutes in that, and then it's sort of quite hard to think, where does material come from? And then you get people like sort of Dave Gorman and Richard Herring who kind of set themselves these sort of tasks that they know will generate stuff almost. You go and force yourself to have an adventure, like grow a Hitler moustache or try and find everyone with your name or whatever, and then stuff happens to you. But very often now something enormously inconvenient will happen, like the fact that I've spent the last 3 days on call waiting with British Gas and British Telecom and London Electricity and stuff. And you think, well, this is intolerable at the moment, but maybe there'll be something in it.
Well, better routine than an ulcer, you see.
Yeah.
Or a simmering year-long resentment bubble.
The irony is that Hasidic Jewish women have a hair taboo as well, and they shave back their hair and wear wigs over it. So there's the young Muslim woman in the headscarf, the Jewish woman in the wig. I'm an atheist, right? A fat atheist, admittedly, we've established. But I didn't see why my attempts to lose weight should be compromised in any way by the hair anxieties of a God I don't necessarily believe in.
I hope anyone would find that funny, whatever their religion. I think they do. In the edit, it may not be a cynical decision, but they do heavily favour an Asian man on the front row in some of the shots to show that it's okay to laugh at this bit.
Well, they often do that, don't they? There has to be a cut to someone with his leg missing.
I can't see him. I think he'll turn up in a bit. He wasn't paid to come or anything. He was actually there, his own choice.
It will be ace. Can I just say what a pleasure it is to be back in metropolitan, sophisticated London, where that joke gets a laugh.
Yeah, there was some anxiety, but they wanted this bit where I'm talking about how London's sophisticated and the North isn't. In the edit, there was some anxiety about wanting to cut this because it made me look like a snob from the south of England and would alienate viewers in the north of England. But of course, I am actually from the Midlands, and I sort of see this a bit as like being in character of those kind of people that think only good stuff happens down south. But I also believe it to some extent. And that, you know, I know that Derby, for example, is not really in the north, but when I was a student, I'd meet people from the south who didn't really know where anything was in the north of England.
Not every town has to have a cake named after it. And that infuriates them. Because there's 2 or 3, which is enough to make them think there might be loads. So I went out in the corridor, and out in the corridor, the old Polish man had already been sent out in the corridor by the young Muslim woman. And as I was walking out, he sort of looked at me and he made this kind of...
Do you feel, though, when you are retelling an anecdote like this, that you... How do you feel about changing slight bits of information, the truth of it, so you can get a gag? You have to embellish it, obviously, slightly.
This is exactly what happened, right, in this, bit by bit, but... And it just fell out sort of perfectly, and there's nothing really changed apart from where under legal advice I've changed the nationality or the locations of people. But the problem is that, you know, I'm not an actor, and I wish I could keep things fresh, but the only way I can keep them fresh when I've told them loads of times is to sort of change little bits or confuse myself. Whereas when you see Omid Jalili's show, you can see that he's a brilliant actor and that he could obviously do the stand-up the same every time, whereas I just can't maintain that quality. And what was nice about this series is this bit was about 1.5 years old, and there's a bit in episode 5 that's like I've been working on for 20 years, but most of it is less than 12 months old or even 6 months old. Some of it was only a matter of weeks old, so a lot of it was sort of just peaking as it came to be filmed rather than going over off the boil. I think the Del Boy falling through the bar bit had gone off the boil, and I don't know I'll ever get it back. But and the other great thing was, on the last night of filming, the next day I couldn't remember anything of the 3 hours of material I had in my head. It was just like a huge dump that had gone. This North of England bit, for example, I know this isn't accurate.
Basically, saying that being religious is the same as being daft.
Oh, I make an ugly woman.
You're rather beautiful.
Do you remember there was a big disagreement about what I was saying? Was it aphids, apith?
Well, I know it's supposed to be apith, right? Halfpenny. But I thought I'd make you say aphid. Like the subtext to me being that the man who's written it knows so little about the north of England that he thinks they say aphid. Right, so that was quite deliberate. But again, I know people were on the day were going, why have you put aphid? And I love that uncomfortable way you sat there, Kev. It must have been quite hard to do that.
Yeah, remember we had these cats that were going to be all over us, but they were dribbling so much.
Yeah, bad, really
I didn't know that.
Stinky saliva coming all over.
And then we just went, I'll get rid of them.
Yeah.
Did you very consciously choose that position to sit in?
Yes. Yeah, to sit almost as if he's frozen there.
Right.
Well, we were frozen because it was the coldest filming day I think I ever had.
It's a hard old job, isn't it? The
It's a
acting?
hard old job, and also the stench of Scotch eggs.
Yeah.
Well, there are a lot of Scotch eggs in
Oh,
the
there are a
room.
lot of Scotch eggs on that set.
It was brilliantly dressed,
there
that
are.
room. If people go back and look at it, you know, there's all sorts of stuff on the walls that they did really,
It was
really
based
well.
on some photographs, wasn't it, that Tim Kirkby... There's a
Well, it was
famous
it was that
photographer.
artist. Yeah, he was in the Sensation exhibition, but
of his mum and dad.
of his
or
mum and
something.
dad. Yeah, and I mean they're a bit grim, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean that again, like. You sort of think it's ridiculous in an episode where you're complaining about politically incorrect stereotyping to then put one in of a stereotype of North England, because of course what people on the right would say is, oh, you won't stereotype the blacks, but you're happy to stereotype people from the North of England. So rather than address that issue, I've just gone, yeah, all right, here's the worst possible, most hypocritical thing you could do. But that, hopefully, that stereotype is so over the top that it becomes...
We don't know who's out
Yeah,
there.
it's ludicrous.
And Viz characters
Could
aren't
be
they?
watching this program. There's no way of preventing them. Much against my better judgment. It's now been broadcast. It's out of our control.
This bit, right, where I'm talking about trying to stop people that wouldn't like the programme watching it, I think it sort of worked. Because we only got 7 complaints for the whole series. And I think that must mean that people that would have complained about it were so sort of alienated by the style of it and how boring it seemed to them that they didn't watch it anyway. So it kind of worked, really.
Only 7, that quite surprises me, actually.
Yeah, well, and they were all about things that didn't really happen. When we get to them, I'll point them out, because they're really funny, the things they complained about.
Has gone mad.
Here he comes again. So you must have had a look at footage, Paul, because that's very good physicality
The
there.
thing is, we had to not do it too authentic because...
Copyright issues
Well,
with
not
the
no,
Nazis.
that's why I was being silly and going oomph, oomph,
Yeah.
oomph, so we can get a bit of comedy. Otherwise, it's just a straight impression, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
And we found that all this sort of thing, it kind of lifted it.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I didn't rehearse it like that in the living room at home, which my neighbours downstairs said we could hear something horrible going on upstairs.
Did you do it looking out of the window, like in front of the tent?
Yeah.
And what is, political correctness? It's an often clumsy...
Would you say then, Stu, you write about a new hour every year?
Yeah,
That's where you go for
an
it.
hour and a bit, yeah. And there's another thing about being in limbo at this point, about knowing whether there's a second series or not. It's quite hard to know what I'm supposed to be writing at the moment. It's June as we speak. June the 2nd is today, 2009, and we just don't know what's going on.
So by the time people are listening to these commentaries, they'll know.
They'll know. Oh yeah, they'll
Them in
know.
the future.
They'll
In
be
the
looking
future.
back at my naive hope.
Yeah, and laughing on their hover cars.
Yeah, with their pill food.
Yeah.
And if political correctness has achieved one thing, it's to make racists in the Conservative Party cloak their beliefs behind more creative language.
Oh, that was another sentence I was obliged to tweak by legal, because I initially said something slightly different, and it was only a couple of words different. It still worked, but they were concerned about it.
Legally?
Yeah. I mean, but it was a weird time doing this, because it was just after all the Jonathan Ross and Russell Brand stuff, and so everything was being combed over much more carefully than it had been previously, and yeah, it made it quite difficult, although...
That's a joke that could get you in the Tower of London.
Yeah, I know, but there was no problem with that. Yeah.
What did he say?
That I blame the parents of the royal princes, whoever they are. But I think the way you'd read it is a sort of parody of like blame the parents, and you don't really know who they are.
You can't say anything these days, mate. It's political correctness gone mad. Do you know, you can't even write racist abuse on someone's car in excrement without the politically correct brigade jumping down your throat.
The picturesque
Here we are back in that village in Watford.
at the very centre
Another cold day.
on political correctness.
The people of this village do not want to see the village green turned into a makeshift encampment every year.
Year in, year out.
By the village people.
Yeah.
These guys had the absolute time of their
We
life.
were crying with laughter watching them.
Yeah.
And they even did all the choreography and...
Yeah. Jenny Arnold came and did that guy in the crash helmet on the right. He was about 85 years old or something. And this chap that was dressed as a Native American, he said it was the most fun day he'd ever had in his life at the end. And he said he thanked his God that he had been allowed to do it.
Look at this gay mess.
Gay mess.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we had to be quite... There was really a lot of dodgy stuff around, wasn't there? Kind of sex toys and and kind of hardcore type of gay magazines. We had to sort of be quite careful with what was revealed.
Yeah.
Truckers on the way to Hereford.
A character Kev's playing is in those clothes for no better reason than when he first appeared, he was supposed to be dressed like someone who's a fan of Del Boy.
Yeah.
And the wardrobe just carried it over.
The reason we don't want the village people in our village has nothing to do with race.
I haven't got a racist bone in my body. In fact, as a younger woman, when I was doing volunteer work in the Congo, I was very partial to the dark meat. Very partial.
Because what was the line I had where I was saying I regularly had anal sex or something like that?
Yeah, that was good.
That doesn't mean I'm gay.
Have they brightened up the village, or have they made it a place which is a living hell? They're doing their dancing and singing up to...
This lay-by thing of going in the lay-by was based on conversations with my... I know my mum's neighbours in Worcestershire are very concerned about who goes in the lay-by in their village.
Didn't you go in the lay-by once and cause some consternation?
Well, I went in the lay-by and I ate a pork roll in the lay-by, and I was very aware that people were staring at me.
That was a real blunderbuss I had there.
Was it?
Well, fired out charge and everything, wasn't it?
Well, they've put Mike in the cells overnight to cool down. Apparently, you can't shoot a member
That's
of the
not a real police station now, that's just a police light on an ordinary building. It's fantastic what they can do.
Yeah.
Gone mad.
And these days, whenever someone says political correctness has gone mad, I always think, what do you actually mean? What is your real agenda here? Unless it's my nan.
Now, this wasn't, strictly speaking, based on my nan, but it's just based on people of that generation. But I do find it helpful to do it in the kind of voice that I grew up listening to.
Which is very funny, because she used to go, Stu, hey, Stu.
Surprised you remember my gran.
I remember her, a tiny little lady.
Yeah.
But there's that kind of slight double standards where I've heard sort of people sort of in their 60s and 70s going, oh, it's horrible today, not like in our day, it was, so much more dangerous now. And you go, yeah, but you had teddy boys. Yeah, all the teddy boys, they'd sort this lot out with their flick knives and chain. You think, hang on. You can't have it both ways. Was it either harder back then or it's softer back then? Yeah.
We've got a nostalgia for a different kind of threat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The old Cray twins would have sorted them out.
Of people who've confused political correctness with health and safety legislation.
I'm so glad people got that joke, because it seems obvious to me that this happens all the time.
Yeah.
And once it's pointed out to people, they go, oh, yeah.
Mad, Stu, it's not like in the old days, Stu, you could get up in the morning, put your hand on a table, and with your other hand smash all your fingers with a hammer, and then dance.
I used to try and do this differently every time. I'm sure there's probably loads of better versions of it, but...
Yeah, but you sort of riffing on it a bit, rather than,
Because your hand was all smashed. Drive off down the motorway with one hand, mocking the disabled with your face, and then you could drive off Beachy Head, and you commit suicide, no one would blame you for it, and you could die if you wanted, and old birds would eat your corpse, bit by bit.
It's
now they're going, oh, don't
it's
do
the minutiae.
Yeah.
What if it annoys a Pakistani? It's political correctness gone mad, Stu.
It was really hard trying to think, because there was racial abuse and sexual abuse terms that I wanted to use that I probably would use live in a club or a theatre. Because the audience know who you are and they've come to see you. And I just didn't think I could do them on the telly because you wouldn't want someone to just be accidentally watching it and to assume you're a person that would use those words.
Right. I mean, how do you stand on it when the certain modern comedians will use kind of ironic take on political correctness and get away with saying jokes which are homophobic, which could be construed as racist or kind of taking the mickey out of disabled people, but sort of slightly get away with it with a sort of veil of irony?
Well, I think it depends, like who's in the room, and what do they take away from it. But then what's the answer to that? Do you couldn't say anything because you'd worry about how it was going to be received. I don't know. I mean, I think we're living in... It was much more cut and dried, weirdly, when we started out, and there was political correctness. You know what I think? I think it's political correctness gone mad. This old fella. The best day of his life, this was. The best day of his
free
life.
pie.
It's top of the bill of the show.
Yeah.
What's this music? It sounds like Ry Cooder or something.
Yeah, it's a Ry Cooder library music pastiche. That's another image it's nice to have got on television. Native American eating a pie.
Yeah.
I mean, because they've had a lot of
lay-by.
they've had a lot of trouble, haven't they? Episode 4. This is about the global financial crisis. This was a weird one to write because I started writing this in October 2008, and we filmed the stand-up in January 2009. And every week, the global financial crisis was changing or getting worse, or different people were being blamed, or it suddenly seemed like something you couldn't be flippant about. And there was one point where it looked like the transmission date was going to be put back months and months, and it was really hard to know how to pitch this one because it just kept the ground was shifting under your feet. And again, Chris Morris, the script editor, did a really good job of trying to make sure that it made some kind of sense. But there's also stuff in this one that made the edit where I'm criticising the viewers at home for being poor or being rich or whatever, and you know, the way things are going, I think some of it was a mistake, but we weren't to know.
Why would you think it was a mistake?
Well, because I think things have got a lot worse for a lot of ordinary people more quickly than we could have imagined. And I also think that there was initially a perception that it was like the rich and bankers and whatever were being punished, and it was only going to hit them. I mean, this is sort of what this bit's about, but...
The sophisticated London audience out of their mind on eels and whelks.
Well, it's probably the hard, tricky subject for any stand-up comic to be talking about at the moment, because it just people go out to have a laugh and then suddenly they're reminded of it again. But
well, the other thing is, I reckon you can, if you're in a club, right, and there's not many people there, or even in a little theatre and you're talking about wealth, people will take it. But if you're on television, the assumption, and usually the correct assumption, is that you're at least earning more than the average person. Therefore, you saying these things reads slightly differently. You know, it looks sort of like, how can you possibly know what it's like or what you're talking about? And then, and also, because all the stand-up I've done the last 10 years has been predicated on being a sort of outsider from the entertainment industry to then be on television and be part of it. If I did do a second series, I wonder that might be quite interesting how you pitch that.
it's the old second album syndrome, isn't it, where there's rock bands that get successful and then they can't sing about being on the dole anymore.
Yeah, so you have that Stereophonics album that's about getting bad reviews and stuff like that.
And the inertia of touring, you know.
Yeah.
You try and spend a Woolworths gift voucher now, you will be laughed out of the shop. You will be laughed out of the shop.
Woolworths in Archway has become an Iceland now.
Trying to spend a Woolworths gift voucher now, it's like trying to spend a Scottish banknote in a grocer's in Hastings. It can't.
I did try to spend a Scottish banknote in a grocer's in Hastings, and I'd been travelling for days and days, and I'd lost my car in Stansted Airport car park that morning, and I was in a really bad mood, and the woman wouldn't accept it, and I decided that I was just going to stay in the shop until she did. And then I realised it was probably really menacing and odd, so I had to go in the end. But I genuinely had enough. Now, this was one of the last things on the last day that we shot. And it's a fantastic special effects job. Most of it's happening in real terms. That crack was built.
Yeah, there was a big crane above us where they were dropping all this stuff, and it was like that. And bales of hay. It was quite scary.
That smoke was put in afterwards.
It's a few days after the official filming block had ended, wasn't it? So
yeah,
it was
put on at the end.
That's Tim Vine, isn't it?
Yeah, that was. Those people were hanging from that rope, but that helicopter's computer generated.
Camp Rat.
Yes, Camp Rat. Simon going for an unusual choice and a very successful one.
Look around you, there's bankers, insurance brokers, office.
I suppose you're Doc Cotton.
nice to have Tim Vine in. There was a lot of people doing cameos that I think are really great.
That bloke off the bike, that was a proper stuntsman.
Yeah, but look at that bloke there. Now, look at his rubbish acting. Oh, he missed it. on the left there, doing falling over acting.
He gave us a lot of laughs that day, didn't he?
Or sell a house for more than you paid for it, or all three simultaneously.
Yeah, this stuff was driving me mad, because most of the routines, I was sort of running them in from about September to January, October to January, or even some of them I started in August. But this, it kept changing every week, and I never got comfortable with it. And my wife was, every night I'd be rehearsing it with her, and she was helping me learn it, but I never really did it enough in clubs, I think. It feels like... It feels like a witty magazine article rather than a piece of stand-up. There's not enough sort of rhetorical devices in it.
Did it make you hate cheese, which you had previously loved? Why not sue a cheesemaker? Sue him for all the cheese he's got. Drive him out of the cheese-making business. Did you burn your face with an iron?
Yeah, this bit I just made it up on the night. I don't know where it came from. I'm mad like that. I'm like Eddie Izzard or something.
Having the temerity to popularise the metal.
I love
that. Yeah, I don't know where it came from. I never even thought of it before. It's just
hearing words like Prometheus and temerity in stand-up comedy. I just love it.
Well, you know what? This sounds really wanky, but I got a very nice letter from Alan Bennett after the series.
Did you?
Yeah, making that point. Really? On the back of a postcard of...
Very nice to hear some lovely words.
Oh, yeah, he said it was...
Don't come from the bottom area.
Yeah, it was... I don't know how to get back in contact with him, but it was on the back of a postcard of a limestone pavement in the Yorkshire Moors.
Well, just hang around Camden, you often see him on his push bike.
And he just in a done duffel coat.
Yeah, well, it was...
bless him.
I think he said the same thing. He was surprised to hear the words. This is another excellent performance by Kevin Eldon of a man having a breakdown in a property programme.
Less than it was before he began work on it.
Wow.
Again, when I wrote this, I thought, how are Channel 4 going to respond to the collapse of the housing market? And now they do programmes with these same people that are about the loss of value of your property.
That's real Anthony Perkins at the end of Psycho face.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also Full Metal Jacket was my reference point. The guy who's gone mad.
Yeah.
Before your wife left you.
That was a lot of fun that day, smashing stuff up, burning things.
You always were, like when you were Simon Queenlank, you were chucking computers out of windows. I remember.
Yeah, I'm just good at chucking computers out windows. Get a lot of my work.
This music's Machine Gun by Peter Broxman, and that when we set fire to that sofa, it was at Pinewood, and the James Bond special effects team found it very amusing that we were doing that. Was this cold?
It doesn't look it, but there's frost. There was frost on the floor, and poor old Tara had to get her bra off and everything. She was we were so cold.
Was that your first sort of nude scene that you've done with a woman?
I think it might have been, yeah.
When they tried to explain it on the news,
did you sign any special forms so that the things,
I had to do one in the zombie Big Brother one where I had to look through the window at a lady showering.
Did you?
Beth Corden showering.
Right. Dead Set.
In Dead Set, yeah. And I was very proud of myself that I did not look at her bosoms until the camera could tell whether I was or not. I told her that. She was most moved.
This bit I regret, because I think it's like, it's sort of attacking people for, I don't know, it's just, but we were short on stuff a bit for this one. I probably wouldn't have, if I'd felt what this would feel like actually going out, I don't know if I'd have done it. It seems really smug.
For your crassness.
Yeah, I don't like this bit.
You from the past. Whatever problematic situation you're in now in the future, but you'll be able to look at them from the future and go, well, I expect they're all worse off now.
It was ill-judged.
You can't escape the fact
that's all right.
It's just...
As a person from the future, I don't feel...
Yeah, we're from even more in the future.
Yeah.
Developers selling them previously covered in outright lies.
I think this was the closest to a proper sketch in the whole series, but everyone involved did a marvellous job. to elevate it. Sarah Tom, Miles Jupp.
Yes.
The Kevin Eldon there,
with
looking like
a false beard.
And a young boy.
What can I do for you? Well, it's about your advert. A small, intimate space may suit young
I actually can't watch this when it cuts to the special effect. Well, the footage of the colonoscopy.
The footage of the colon, yeah.
Repulsive.
It's not good, is it?
No.
But it is someone's colon. That's what's interesting. Is it on television?
It was a guy who was a friend of someone that worked on the production.
Was it?
Yeah, no, honestly.
It's not footage then.
No, because you have to pay for the footage, and so they just said he was going in for a colonoscopy.
Oh my word!
And they said to him, "Can you get them to run a copy of this off?" So this is actually an actual colonoscopy of a friend of someone that worked on the production. Unwatchable.
It's only what's inside all of us.
I know, but I have to cover my eyes. Well, I've had loads of colonoscopies as well.
Oh, right, okay, personal experience. Luckily for us, on the day, we didn't have that on the screen for us. So.
Would you think you'd have been able to stare so intently at it?
I would have foreshortened my visual field so that it was just a grisly blur.
How do you know how to do that to foreshorten your visual field?
I don't know. I think it's just something I was born with.
Like a magic eye.
Yeah.
Oh, don't watch it.
It's that horrible yellow bit there, actually, that upsets me. That's the bit that upsets me. Actually, that's me looking away.
Yeah.
He was, Miles, for a couple of times when he came to pretend to put the camera in his bottom, was corpsing and laughing.
Yeah, he does that way. He gets the giggles very bad.
He gets the giggles.
I understand he's having trouble on, but he's in the thick of it now.
With Malcolm Tucker shouting at his face and he's not supposed to laugh.
Keeps getting the giggles. Yeah. He's lost a lot of weight since Ballymourney.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know.
Really?
That's a hell of a lot of work for you.
Kevin Eldon's line that they worked out in the rehearsal there, very funny line.
I thought saying it from my mouth.
But we should have known it was all over. You should have known it was all over when...
And it was a good cut out of the end of that sketch.
Yeah, they cut the punchline.
We were going to say, yeah, we'll have it, but they left us hanging there deciding, which
they
is
did a really good job on that.
Good editorial choice.
Saturday mornings with your pocket money and you'd...
This is another routine I'm sort of pleased to get on telly. It's like 10 minutes of sort of with no real progress and just about tones and stuff. And people seem to relate to it as actually a genuine nostalgia for Woolworths, but also a sort of piss take of that kind of nostalgia people suddenly have for a place they never really went.
Wire and electricity.
Well, I think I bought my first LP from Woolworths.
Yeah.
It was BBC Death and Horror Sound Effects
That's
Volume 1.
One of mine as well, with lunatics laughing on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I might have nicked my first LP from Woolworths.
Yeah, well, you're more from the punk era, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. We hated the system, yeah.
I mean, you've talked a lot about this, Paul, this sort of idea that objects are sort of disappearing, and that you're a person who has had objects, books, comics, records and things like that, and now, there's nothing there anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's just all the little record shops and even the big record shops just gradually just all closing down and disappearing.
We're in the middle of Soho and you'll have finished at 1 o'clock, but there's nowhere for you to wander around and look at now.
There's a few shops around Berwick Street and stuff, but they're just gradually disappearing.
7-inch singles, pick and mix.
There's a record shop that used to be at the Pure Groove at the top of Holloway Road. That's gone, and now it's like a kind of a bar over in Smithfield.
Well, you can't
still
go...
selling records, but the records are secondary to having to be a bar with a coffee and.
Yeah.
You can't go past a record shop without being drawn in like a errant spaceship into a black hole, can you?
No, I can't. But I mean, it's much easier now to. I mean, when we used to be on tour in the mid-90s, when vinyl was dying, you could go around all these provincial towns and get everything you ever wanted for £1. But now, even all that's just gone.
Very nostalgic feelings for the MFI.
Well, I got very nostalgic feelings for those shops.
It was a big thing in our house. Remember in the early 80s when MFI amalgamated with the Allied Carpets Group. Remember that?
This bit, I mean, I did this routine for about 2 weeks before the filming. But I know if I'd been able to tour this, I could have got it up to 20 minutes. I would have had such fun with it. This is one bit. I regret having put this into the series as early as I did. You know, having used it up, because I think it could have gone on. People that found it annoying at this length, maybe it would be funny if it was twice as long. You know, sort of.
So you wouldn't go back and extend it anyway?
Nah, I don't think so. I don't know, well, maybe, but I mean, maybe some other things will go bust. Maybe it's something I can do something with on tour, but sort of. It was really good fun researching it as well, and like trying to find out all the different names of specific MFI products and the history of the company and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Saw it on the Jamie Oliver. They're not interested in kitchens, the kids, or they don't cook. They just eat kebabs out of a ditch.
This is another thing where I've done I've slipped into a Midlands accent because I'm talking like an old person, reminiscing.
Yeah.
And,
remember MFI's storage genie range of shelves and cupboards?
It probably was. I just like to think that there's someone watching this and going, yes, I do remember it. And I'm glad someone's talking about it.
Shelves, like they had in the old days, proper shelves, like from the 70s, that you might put a gymnastics award.
when the series finished and it had got all this good press, I thought, they'll definitely do a second one. But then when I look at this, I think it's amazing to think they allowed it to go out at all, because this seems like avant-garde art compared to lots of sort of stand-up.
Zavi as well, of course, Zavi.
It's interesting because Omid Charlie's show went out after this. Lily, sorry, Omid. And it's just very different, but a similar kind of format.
Yeah.
I must have been 38.
And the way he dealt with this, the credit crunch.
Oh, did he do stuff?
And he did a little sort of musical.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah. That was funny. Yeah.
In the Zavi, I'm going up the Zavi, Mum. Go on then. Here's your pocket money. Go up the Zavi, wouldn't you, with your pocket money, and you get one of the singles. One of the singles in the form of a memory stick. All the proper old bands they had then as well, didn't they, in the old days at Zavi? All the proper bands, and they had the Editors and Scouting for Girls and the Killers, not like the stupid bands they have now.
I don't really know anything about the Killers or what they sound like at all, and I was trying to think of things that are really massive now that I don't know anything about. Right. I have no idea of what they're like.
But I like it when you said, and I kind of use this myself. It's just true that once you get over 40, I couldn't give a fuck. It doesn't matter anymore. No one cares whether you're up to date. Just like your old shit.
Used to smell of stickers saying 3 for £10.
Well, my favourite new bands at the moment is, or singers, is Paolo Nutini, and he's 25 years old, but he sounds like a Stax or Soul Man from about 1967. Beautiful voice. Check him out, kids.
Yeah. Bags under our beds like our grands used to in the 70s.
Now, this was another treat to be able to use Arnold Brown. He was one of the people that made me want to do stand-up. And next to him is Eugene Cheese, who's run the Chocolate Club for a quarter of a century and has given me lots of gigs.
And me as well.
Yeah, me too. Many years ago.
And he meals and Islamics and Harlamics and Islamics.
He's little gimlet eyes.
That's why we hide our money all around the house in plastic bags.
It does make you want to cry a little bit, this. I don't know why. It's just so
it's got a feeling of sadness about it, yeah. And the shots, the way that Tim set that shot up, Tim Kirkby, is really good. It feels like...
And here in our pants...
Yeah.
Because he was worried that it didn't look enough like a commercial.
Yeah. I mean, I think it doesn't in a way, because it's no commercial would be this dimly lit, but it has a different quality to it.
Is yours.
I've come to
Rob. Read the meter.
Oh, you better come in.
Deeper voice than Leon.
Yeah.
He was a child star, Paul Eugene Cheese, who played the woman there. He used to be in the music hall as a kid with his dad's act.
Did he?
Yeah.
What was his dad's act? Do we know what his dad's act was?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him. But he travelled around the whole country being a little child. It must have been the dying days of variety theatre.
Arnold used to do a routine about going down to our price, talking about disappearing things, you know, record shop. And it was just his line, I went down to our price the other day, as I have every right to do.
I know, yeah. I think it was. It wasn't. You sure it wasn't? As I have every right so to do.
As I have every right so to do.
Yeah. I mean, it was really nice to get him in this. The first bill I ever saw stand up was in Edinburgh in '87, and it was Arnold Brown, Arthur Smith, Norman Lovett, and Jerry Sadowitz. And when I listened to tapes of me in like '89 or '90 when I'd started, it was just basically a copy of them and Ted Chippington.
Weirdly enough, he was one of the first ones I ever saw in 1985. We went out and saw some stand-up when I was at college, and he was on the bill there at that little canal.
Oh, the Canal Cafe, yeah. He's really great, I think. He's sort of one of those people you sort of feel should have been a national institution, but there just isn't the space for them somehow.
I think one of the first stand-ups I saw, alternative or modern, it was Pat Condell.
Wow.
Owen O'Neill, Buddy Hell.
Yeah.
You
were going through these the other day, weren't you?
Yeah.
Loads of boneless dogs to all view the bone at the same time.
Well, again, I do now that the dust of the 90s and the comedies, the new rock and roll has cleared, I do feel much more like those people from the 80s than I do people from now. I don't know why that is. And I wanted this to feel like it was from the 70s or the 80s rather than from now or the 90s.
Because I mean, when you were pitching this, you were saying that you wanted it to be a bit like a Dave Allen.
For now, yeah, I did. I said that, and mistakenly, I think that got out somewhere, which meant that critics could then say it's like a Dave Allen show. But I felt I wanted it to be like a Dave Allen show in as much as I didn't want there to be loads of fast edits, and I wanted to be allowed to do long routines and all those sorts of things.
Were you a fan of Dave Allen?
Well, not noticeably. I don't remember it as a kid being, but then when you think back on it, you think it seems really amazing that you were allowed to do stand-up on telly like that, where the pleasure was in the shape of the story and the tonality of the words. That was good fun, making all those signs and putting them up.
Yeah, you did it yourself, didn't you?
Well, I didn't do it myself. I mean, I made up words like wankers. I decided to use that word.
Years ago, we'd sometimes see the odd one.
This was another thing, like estate agents were suddenly in genuine trouble. This didn't seem as funny. And again, Kev's the same character here.
Yes,
before.
It sounded like it was coming from inside the wall. So we got someone in to look at it, and it turned out the whole house was infested.
With estate agents?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
That's all their leavings.
Arrived last night, just before I went to bed. And then
It's always strange being in these locations in other people's houses.
Yeah.
Mark, the others feel they have to as well. Very competitive for territory. Fresh droppings here.
Right, I mean, it's not their fault, really. The current property market situation's made them pretty desperate.
Yeah, but it's not very nice, is it,
No,
to have them?
no, it's not very nice. So we got a pest control man in to come.
Here's one, right?
Oh, on retain.
This young acrobat did a marvellous job.
Yeah, it's fabulous. How many times did you have to do that?
I don't know, about twice. He was really good, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He's very good. And he folded up very small.
To my mind,
this girl was great as well in the
worst firmness of them all.
Because they are like this mice, aren't they? And they just go, just run away so quickly.
Once I seen 2 estate agents.
all the estate agents I've dealt with in the last year trying to sell my flat have been very helpful. Another reason I felt really bad about it. Sort of, I didn't watch it and think.
Wasn't there a bit I saw being filmed one afternoon where someone was down a toilet?
Yeah, it didn't really work. Yeah, it was filmed for this bit, the estate agent coming out of a toilet. I mean, this looked much grimmer on film than it did on paper. And I was worried about this, really, looking a bit much. Oh!
They're less use when they're dead. You try buying a partial loft conversion off one of them. Can't be done.
That's me driving it as well. Yeah, that's right.
Did you? I didn't know you could drive.
Yeah.
We could blame the deregulated economics of the Thatcher-Reagan years. We could blame Gordon Brown. We could blame the banks, which lent us money we couldn't really afford to have. But really, we're to blame.
This is such a downbeat end. I mean, we couldn't have done this anywhere but the middle of the series, really. It seemed such a...
Good though, isn't it? Mm.
Well, it was...
In the same small flat.
I wanted it to sort of tail off and to have no joke at the end, which is sort of what happens.
But I mean, if anything, that does remind me of Dave Allen. There's these, he would do the tone of it, not necessarily the content. He would have a moment in the show where he would just be telling a ghost story.
Yeah.
Dishwasher? Do you have a dishwasher? I don't.
Or
somebody got me the Dave Allen DVD, and it is great to watch him performance-wise, but very much of its time, as far as women are concerned, attitude towards women is kind of, oh dear. But apart from that, it's very funny.
Any clothes that were suitable to wear on television?
My Uncle John did the lighting on those old Dave Allen shows.
We're to blame.
I only ever met him once, and it was with you, actually, Kev.
Yeah.
At a BBC party.
John?
No, not your Uncle John. It was at a BBC party, and he was... you were very drunk, and he helped you put your coat on.
I was very, very drunk, and like a cartoon drunk who was leaving and couldn't get my arm in one of the sleeves. Suddenly this thing was helping me on. And I turned around, it's Dave Allen going, it was all I got out. It was lovely, man. Thanks, Dave.
Which no one needs. No one needs a box set of all the Planet of the Apes films. 1 and 2, yes, Planet of the Apes.
You've got a lot of DVDs, Paul. What's the most pointless thing that you own in a box set?
I think the most pointless thing, I don't know why, it was in the sale. And I didn't even think much of the film, but it came in a robot head. It was the iRobot film with Will Smith. But I just thought, oh, I like that head. But didn't think much of the film, so I bought it.
Can put a turd in a box.
And
so for you, it was a kind of sculpture with an unwanted film inside it.
Yeah, I don't know why. I like the aesthetic. I like the robots in the film, but it was all right. But you know,
how many of the Planet of the Apes movies have you got in DVD form, Stu?
None.
None?
No.
Do you know you could buy them in the shape of an ape head?
Yeah. To get that.
So I could buy that, keep the head. You can have the films.
The point is,
you can get all the Dogma films in a box set in the shape of Lars von Trier's head.
You remember that sculpture you bought in IKEA?
It went round and round with this again. Like I remember the producer, Richard Webb, wanted me to say you, and I wanted to say we. I wanted to make myself part of the problem of owning rubbish, and he said it should be you, talking about what the public own rather than me being alongside them.
Of IKEA or Habitat, to stand as a sign to say that you should have liked the kind of thing that ought to have been there but isn't.
That was a sentence that Chris Morris said when we were trying to describe this idea. I was trying to describe to him what I was trying to write, and he went, "Oh yeah, you mean the kind of thing that stands as a signifier to say you ought to have liked the thing that should have been there but didn't." Just an amazing sentence to say without writing it. And I just wrote it down quickly. So he just there weren't, most of what he did was sort of advisory or shaping through. Very occasionally, he's just got a real gift for speaking a sentence that sounds like it's a result of hours of thought.
In houses of sand, sculptures of nothing, standing nowhere, with nothing to say.
and that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you finish a comedy show during a financial downturn. Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
And there's this lovely
fun.
shot at the end that they got of Arnold and Arnold Brown and Eugene Cheese. It's just.
Now I understand they put the film on when they weren't. They didn't know they were being filmed there. They were getting ready for it
in the run-in, and they needed about an extra 10 seconds for this, so it's very slowed down very slightly. But
just reminds you of be like something on that programme, 40 Minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, the closing title of an 80s documentary about some social issue, yeah. That's a nice thing to have gone to telly, that picture. It sort of breaks lots of conventions and whatever, and then, because it was going to go out on Easter Monday, they panicked at the last minute and the order got switched around, which was a shame because episode 6 was really supposed to be the last one of the series, and the series kind of had this shape to it where it kind of talks about how do you do stand-up about things, and then at the end...
But didn't it, because it was scheduled to this week, it fell on some other religious festival?
Did it? I didn't even know that. Right. Yeah,
I think it did, yeah.
This was the only one that got mucked about with by legal things, but even so, it wasn't too bad. And I was trying to write something that wasn't about jokes about religion, but it was about how jokes about religion work.
And of these 7 complaints you got of the series, how many of them were about this episode?
All of them.
All from religious bodies?
Yeah, well, the first 2 were about a joke that's about to come up, where I said about Richard Dawkins, Professor Richard Dawkins, and 2 people wrote to the BBC or phoned in saying it was tasteless to make jokes about Professor Stephen Hawkins in the light of his recent illness. So those were easily dealt with.
Dyslexics.
And the other 5 complaints were phoned in about halfway through this, where people said, I enjoyed his joke about Christianity, I bet he wouldn't do the same thing about Islam. And of course the last 10 minutes of the programme is about that exact issue.
Yeah.
So what it means is there's loads of sort of BNP types out there with their fingers on the button, waiting to phone that complaint in, irrespective of its actual content. Here's Kevin Eldon
recreating a
Francis Bacon painting.
Yes.
Of the Screaming Pope.
Yeah.
But,
thanks for giving me that opportunity.
Funny, hopefully that's funny whether you know that or not,
And creationism and intelligent design.
Yeah, this is the joke where
I now believe in God and creationism and intelligent design is because of Professor Richard Dawkins.
Professor Richard Dawkins, not Professor Stephen Hawking. He's not a known creationist scientist anyway, is it? It's insane.
Professor Richard Dawkins.
You say it twice.
You say it twice. I mean, what is wrong with people?
I don't think that could just have evolved by chance.
I wrote that joke for a night when I was on this humanist comedy show with Richard Dawkins, and I felt obliged to make fun of it in some way. Even something I sort of agree with, you feel you can't all be facing the same way.
And what, he was on the bill?
Yeah.
Well, presumably they had wheelchair access for him to get onto the stage.
Doctrine or dogma, they're just about things like the language of religion. For example, last week, I wasn't.
Just a very old gag I've changed that I did 20 years ago.
I wasn't, this didn't happen, I made it up. And last week I was walking...
I mean, a lot of the stuff in this show, I've been kicking it around for decades, and it was really nice to have stuff that you knew so well you could really mess with it and then dump it. And in fact, the sketch that's coming up, where Paul and Kev here are different versions of Laurel and Hardy, religious characters, was something that me and Rich Herring wrote a version of 20 years ago for Little and Large, in the hope that the idea was that Sid Little would be swimming in the sea with a snorkel, and Eddie would eat a sausage, and the sausage would fly down his snorkel and choke him.
Yeah. But it was rejected.
It was rejected. Yeah. This was a good fun to film.
This was at the Haldeman's Museum down in Dulwich.
And that
Fantastic
walrus
place.
you can see behind Kev was inaccurately stuffed by Victorians who assumed you had to fill the walrus's entire skin.
Yes.
Not realising it was saggy. That's you there, Paul, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm in that costume.
Yeah. And it was great having a proper actor in that costume, because you did manage to make it funny even though you couldn't be seen.
People in religious garb look funny.
Thank you.
There isn't anything that wouldn't be funnier were it not being carried out by someone dressed as a priest or a Buddhist or a
What was all that whale museum? How did all that come about? What was
funniest Laurel and Hardy sketch?
whale museum? I mean, the penis thing.
It was just extended from a line of stand-up. These. Did you have fun looking at their trying to get them right?
Well, they're both massive fans, so it was a labour of love.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've done it before anyway on the Serafinovich
Peter
show.
Serafinovich show. I did a sketch, but it was great fun.
Except this time,
I love them.
Ollie is dressed in the robes of a bishop of the Greek Orthodox Church.
So we're trying to look at all little things like how he sits, and there was a sitting where he sits, and that's exactly there's stuff of Ollie Hardy doing flirty faces, looking exactly like that. So you're trying to do it as accurately as we possibly could.
But we had to get there very early because I was going to be. I had a bald cap and I did it as a Buddhist.
Oh yeah, we did it as a Buddhist and didn't use it in the end. Yeah. And Paul Merton was a very good sport to do this, given that he's so. I mean, this is his thing, isn't he? That he's always talking about. He loves silent film, and the touring show he does about it is fantastic.
And that was his idea, wasn't it, to have Lucy, I think, just doing that on his ear all the time. That was his idea.
Why would you need that much makeup on your ear?
It's really white.
She said her wrist was aching so much by the end of the day.
Religions, as they aren't about doctrine and dogma. They're about things like marketing. Catholicism, for example. I love the way that Catholicism...
This was the only other bit in the series that's been anywhere else. This little bit about the Pope lollies.
Yes.
You don't often see those two things working as a team.
But again, it's funny, like, her second half of this, I would have done it anyway, about the new Pope, and he just keeps coming back into the news for saying increasingly controversial things.
With the face of Pope John Paul
II. No, you really did see such a piece of confectionery, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I did bring a load home. Pope lollies, yeah.
And I just thought, in the light of his death, a few months later, I wondered whether sales of those lollipops went up or whether they went down.
I mean, I'd like to go to the Vatican and see what the merchandise for Ratzinger is, because he does seem like a genuinely harder to merchandise figure.
It would seem inappropriate to lick a sugar effigy of his face.
You wouldn't want a pillowcase of his face, would you? You wouldn't.
Or even a pen would seem a bit weird. Anything, yeah.
The Pope's quite tricky territory, isn't it? Because you found to your cost, Kevin, didn't you, with Pope Town, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, but I mean, my involvement on that was more script editing and tidying up rather than initiating anything.
Pass out some kind of enchanted papal
But yeah, so that didn't get a good reaction.
I mean,
I'm not surprised.
The fact that there were only 5 complaints, though, suggests to me that the sort of people that complain routinely about everything weren't watching this anyway, because it's sort of, it's not, if you're not enjoying it, it must be so irritating, this programme, that you're probably not going to stay with it long enough to complain about it.
Is the we then magic? And he said no. That would be ridiculous. Well, there were lollipops of Pope John Paul II's face, and I don't think it's just because he was Pope. I think there may have been lollipops of that man's face anyway, because he had a lickable face, didn't he?
Sorry, I stopped doing the commentary then. I was just because, again, this was so new. I only ever did it about 3 times. I was just watching it, thinking, I wonder where this is going. I don't even remember. There's aspects of it. I was so tired by the end of it. You look at it and you can't remember having done it or anything.
Memorabilia in sort of gift shops and stuff. It's quite odd. Like when you go to Alcatraz in San Francisco and you can buy all these kind of prisoners' hats and
internment memorabilia,
and mugs with saying Alcatraz, and you think the misery of that place in reality.
Yeah,
you could put on bottles of bleach to stop children drinking them.
I always think that with the Chamber of Horrors.
Yeah,
if
or the London Dungeon.
Yes.
What are you commemorating exactly?
Yes. Torture and serial killers and
hopeless agony, racked despair.
He's a very serious Pope. He's very hard line. He's already managed to alienate.
I wish I could have got more of a balance in this show. I mean, it did end up being a big block about Catholicism, and there was stuff about Hasidic Jews and Buddhists and whatever. But it's a kind of.
You've got 28 minutes.
You've got 28 minutes.
You could do a series on it, really.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't really ever want to do anything about it again. I just feel like. It ended up because of getting in trouble with Jerry Springer the Opera about religious things. It took this dealing with it personally, legally, financially, and creatively has taken up an inordinate amount of my life. Now these are an exact copy of the Pope's shoes made by Sam.
Are they a kind of shoe-based memorabilia that you can get then?
No, you can't. No, you can't buy them. No, but Sam Perry made them in costume, and his Prada shoes that he has, and she's painted them with this red enamel paint. And I don't know where those have gone now. I haven't got them. Don't know where they've gone. Back in the props. Yeah.
Well, since watching this on the telly, every time I've seen the Pope on the telly, I've looked to see if those are there, and you can just see him just sort of jutting out every now and then.
He brought them back in.
Dress.
Yeah, but the John Paul II wouldn't have it, and then Ratzinger's brought these shoes back in.
Profiling tests and questionnaires to try and determine whether potential.
I mean, they're a nice shoe.
Catholic clergy are gay, and I'm not sure about how these work. I don't know if you can really determine someone's sexuality from just asking them questions about the kind of things they like, what they would like to wear. For example, it's very hard.
Coming up is the Dancing Pope sketch, which was another chance to try and cast someone who had been a huge inspiration when I started out.
That's the second time you hold up shoes in this series, isn't it?
Yeah, there's shoes. Well, there's a lot of... I'm glad you noticed that, because that was something I gave thought to. And there are a lot of visual themes that run through the episodes.
Dream of becoming Pope? Or did he just dream of having a day job where he'd be allowed to wear these shoes? In short, was becoming Pope a means to an end?
This is fabulous.
Yeah, and it was beautifully filmed. Like, it just really looks like the old one. And Tim Kirkby did a really good job. This shot.
Look at that crowd on the right. Yeah. That's exactly as they used to have it.
It's the wig on top of his own hair.
Well, that was Jerry Sadowitz's own idea. He insisted that he didn't want to have a wig properly fitted. He just wanted to wear the wig on top of his own hair, which is really good.
In his TV show, when he played a Bernard Manning, he just tied pork pies to his cheeks.
I'd love to see that programme again. I'd love to see what it looked like.
Paul Bearer's Review.
Yeah.
Can you, Jim, fix it for me?
And the impression is brilliant.
It's really good, isn't it?
It's really good.
For me. He's got that sort of Yorkshire thing.
That was his own thing. I wanted him to say Z Kyle right at the end, and at the last minute, legal decided that he couldn't do that because it suggested that he endorsed the Nazi Party. So the only German phrase Jerry knew was "I am a
potato salad."
Potato salad or something like that.
Doesn't he do it? Isn't there a throwaway comment he says to him at the end?
I think it got cut.
What was it?
Yeah, they were all right about him saying I was in the Hitler Youth, because he was, but they were very careful about this idea that...
This is beautiful.
Yeah, he did it really well.
Look at that, the Lollipop Guild. Oh, I fancy watching this film tonight.
Yeah, the big setup for... Who said that? There's no place like... Was that your idea?
That was my line, yeah.
There's no place like Rome. Yeah.
It wasn't last Sunday, it was 20 years ago.
Yeah. Now, this routine has been brewing for 20 years, and this was in my original...
This is the first routine I ever saw you do in 1991 in the De Hems.
Well, it was always in all my open spot sets, and I remember I saw a leaflet at Leicester Polytechnic in 1990. It's now De Montfort University, and it said, "Jesus is the answer. Now, what is the question?" And I thought that's funny, and I wrote a joke about it. And then over the years, people would suggest things or would get more on it, and it just got longer and longer. And whenever I was abroad or at festivals and had to do galas or whatever, this was the routine I always did, because it's the only bit I had really that stood alone without you having to know me. And I thought, I'm going to do this one last time, because it's never been commercially available anywhere. I thought, I'm going to do it one last time on this and try and do it for as long as you possibly can on television. The most I ever got out of it was I got half an hour out of this routine in a theatre in Perth in Australia, where I did about 20 minutes from behind the curtain with just my feet showing, and getting the whole audience to laugh. Literally, there wasn't even anyone on stage, and it was really good fun. But to be able to do this on telly at this length was really great.
So over this series, you're saying goodbye to some old friends with these routines.
This bit is like the one really that most of them were fairly recent, but this, well, because the thing is now I'm glad it's gone, because I always was doing it at benefits and things like that, and it's nice to have got rid of it, and it was a real sense of relief to get rid of it.
You won't ever do it again live?
I hope not, but it's been hanging around for. There's people that helped me with it or had ideas for it. I can't even remember their names. Remember that woman? She was a poet on the circuit. She used to go out. She had long curly hair, and she used to go out with that Scottish comic who does the football manager character.
Yes.
And one of the lines in this was her idea, and I mean, it was nice to dump it.
I'll warn you that.
But it's also sort of why I wanted this to be 5, because I wanted the show to get the series to get more and more about how you do stand up, and I wanted to. This got a review in the Guardian this episode saying that I was really lethargic and it seemed really tired, and I wanted it to look like I couldn't bear to do the stuff anymore and was going through the motions. So that was in the performance, and then that gets reviewed as if you actually are tired and are going through the motions.
Who was that?
A young woman, I can't remember her name. Yeah.
Which has been building nicely.
Yeah, it said it was like soporific, like a lullaby that would send you to sleep. But I kind of wanted that feel for it. I wanted it to sort of feel like I was dragging it out. Couldn't ever do it again. And then in episode 6, what was supposed to be episode 6, and is on this DVD, you get to the point where you don't know what you're going to do stand up about ever again.
Over here, not so many laughs, but certainly the people over there. I don't know about you at home, but the people in this area very much enjoying the way I'm working the room. At this point, the evangelist said to me, I don't know if a primetime BBC 2 comedy slot is the time or the place.
That's the thing you've built in on it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's talking about
how it's working. Yeah. I mean, it's sort of, again, if we did a second series, I'd love to get to a point where the actual content and the things you're talking about are sort of irrelevant, and it was all about sort of tone and timing and this kind of thing where stuff's falling out. So, but that's when people write about something or ask you about it, they kind of want to know what it's about. And it'd be really hard to pitch to someone something where you said, well, really, it's about rhythm and sound, because they're really hard.
Just say numbers.
Yeah, they're really hard things to talk to critics or executives about, to talk about.
What am I supposed to do? Look what you've
Shades, yeah.
This routine over 20 years, we've worked on it together, you and me. We've built it up with a whole set of call and responses, and you improvising within certain carefully delineated parameters. Now look at where we are. We're in a position there is no escape to all intents and purposes.
Why do you like deconstructing comedy so much? Where does that come from?
Well, I don't know. I think I was unfortunate or fortunate. The first person I saw was Ted Chippington, who had no act, really. It was just sort of about commenting on how it was working. What thought did you give to this man, Kev?
I just kept thinking of ice flows.
Right.
Like the sound of the penis.
Whale's penis noise, yeah.
It's always, I remember sort of getting quite near that you, Ryan, and still with that big costume on, you think, oh, I hope I haven't got wee on me.
Yeah. You had to have loads of goes at that because the head wouldn't fit into the wall.
That's me 6 times.
Over and over again.
Pretending to be laughing away. Yeah. Laughing at names.
I can't remember what that was supposed to be about anymore, but it seems...
So was that the one that Armando just sort of shrugged and don't know what this is about?
Yeah, he let it go though. Yeah. I mean, he was really, really good at getting stuff through and also keeping an eye on everything. And but he was also just generous enough to shrug occasionally and let stuff go through.
Who lied about their religious beliefs to get their children into faith schools.
Now, this bit coming up, right? This is genuinely true that I did write this thing where faith schools were dog training schools run by different religious groups, and it's also genuinely true that we did have the all the stuff in place for the Islamic one, and then had to pretty much figure a way around it on the week because the BBC were worried that that there was an Islamic taboo about dogs, and therefore it would seem provocative. But I read things saying that wasn't the case, and I'd made it up, which was annoying because I would like to have done the thing as originally written. But I think that the BBC is so beleaguered at the moment with everyone attacking them for everything. You didn't really want to add to their woes if they got cold feet about something, and they've been really good about everything else. Plus, I thought that the way round it was quite funny anyway.
Because there was we were talking about earlier, another little scene where Kevin and I were rabbis.
Yeah, dancing rabbis, in this section, training a dog.
That got snipped.
Yeah, it was just time, but then I wish we'd sort of kept it in as well, because at least there was more of a spread of different religions then. This dog was fantastic, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Miguel.
But they train them by keep giving them these little treats.
Yeah.
So
That's what he's got his eye on there.
His little biscuit, yeah.
Must eat like equivalent of us eating 3 packets of chocolate digestives by the end of
Well,
the
that's
day.
how they trained you.
He's showing me cans of Tennant Super.
That's what drama school was, actually.
Miles Jupp's father's a priest, isn't he?
He is. He's vicar.
Vicar, yeah.
COB vicar.
Did they all sit there like that?
No, but again, they did it one at a time and blue screened them in. Yeah, that was 6 shots. Yeah. There was an edit here because when the dogs bit the face of this dummy, it was removed at the request of the BBC. They said it looked too violent.
Bite his face.
Yeah. There was a little snip there.
Requires them to familiarise themselves with the unorthodox dissenting sect of Quakerism.
Tara's voiceover is very good there as well.
This is how we make.
Watching this being filmed was about the most I've ever laughed in my life.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I could hear you giggling your stupid head off.
It's funny to put people you know to such inconvenience.
Yes.
That's the thing.
And to make them show their bottoms in a freezing cold 6 o'clock in the evening, just about to snow evening. Place for no eating.
It looked funny though, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
It wasn't as funny as me watching it there, though, because also all the trouble that had been gone to, and they had to decant all that stuff into the the things. And Simon, you know, he's only thin, isn't he? And it's
very thin man.
Yeah.
They're worried that there's a kind of cultural taboo about dogs.
And coming up is the model of the plane that, you know, it was in the sketch that we had to cut, where Kev came out as a sort of terrorist holding this plane with the dog in it. But I'm not sure this wasn't better in a way. It's sort of hard to know.
You see that here. I mean, this was
had to use that plane.
Yeah.
Just waste that. Was it $3,000 worth of profit?
No. The expensive piece of damage is in episode 6. We'll see Paul Putner in episode 6 do $3,000 worth of damage to something.
All right. So, but did you feel that when you were suggesting that, just even connecting Islam with terrorism, that was still kind of tricky area?
Well, I didn't think that would be the tricky. I thought that might be the tricky area. I didn't realise it would be the dog that was the tricky area. And also, you know, this is a real book again, which I did. I read it all about animals in Islam, and it's so inconclusive, you know. This is what Chris Morris is trying to do at the moment is write this comedy film about Islamic terrorists and make sure that he doesn't step on any taboos, so he can make fun of the real core issues, you know. But I expect that will be dismissed as political correctness gone mad. But I mean, there must be a way around it, to be able to do religious jokes on a level playing field somehow.
Now, there was another little sequence that was cut where I had to be Mike Reed type of or a 70s comedian. What was happening
I want you to be a 70s comic doing a joke about some very specific aspect of Islamic culture that would require the audience to be really, really clued up on Islamic culture to understand it. But it sort of didn't really work, really. It wasn't cut because of fear of sensibilities, it just sort of...
That's right, I did my best Mike Reed impression.
I know, he did it really well as well.
The options are limited, so you end up falling back on the most perfunctory and unpleasant and obvious stereotypes. Very frustrating. You know, I wrote to Abu Hamza about it. He's a prominent British Muslim. I wrote to Abu Hamza.
I love it when they can anticipate a joke.
But he didn't write back. Because he's got hooks for hands. He's got hooks for hands. Are you happy? Is that what you wanted? Are you satisfied now? He's got hooks for hands. What's he like?
You do seem genuinely angry.
Well, I was, you know. I mean, I felt I've been run ragged with this and pulled around all different, you know, and it was impossible to satisfy everyone. But I still think that it was good of them to do this episode.
Yeah.
I've got no problem with the BBC. I mean, they're in trouble now for employing a Muslim as head of religious broadcasting. But to me, that makes perfect sense, because that's the hot, contentious issue in religion today is Islam. So why not get someone that knows about that to be in charge of religious broadcasting, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, from what I heard of that, it wasn't even, positive discrimination. The guy just knows a lot about different religions.
He's made some really good...
He's the right bloke for the job.
He's made some really good programmes for Channel 4 about religion. So the last guy stepped down and over Jerry Springer the Opera, and he was against the ordination of women, so it's good to have a different kind of person in charge of it.
What they're called by now.
But yeah, I don't want to do anything about religion again. It's
You obviously think it's very clever to be sarcastic, don't you?
But you may do, you see, something might come up.
Yeah.
No.
It's funny that this was reviewed as...
For instance, if there were a second coming, if Jesus came
I
back,
mean, you'd have to address it.
You'd have to address
it,
You couldn't just ignore it.
Couldn't just ignore it, no.
Be in the news.
Yeah, or if we were taken over by a sort of Taliban dictatorship,
yeah,
you'd have to address that.
Yeah.
You know what, right? None of that happened.
It's really funny that this is reviewed as he seems bored with it, because to me it's obviously that's obviously a performance choice. I think people have got quite low expectations of stand-up, particularly TV critics, because they don't see a lot.
Well, no, they don't go out and see it, so they
don't know that it can be nuanced.
Yeah, they don't know anything really. Yeah. The reviewers.
Yeah.
I'm not interested really. And I went back to bed. And then over the next 2 decades, I gradually thought of a number of amusing things that I could have said. If I was really funny in real life.
Have you ever done that where you have been in a situation where you've told the story of what happened and you've made yourself say something funnier than you did at the actual moment when it happened?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
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 I think we've all probably done that.
Well, you change the story in the telling so that you emerge as the victor.
Yeah.
The moral victor.
And that was filmed at Tooting Lido.
Tooting Lido, yeah. Beautiful Art Deco Lido.
So that's Paul Simper.
And that's Sarah Tom, and you had to have a lot of goes at that, apparently, the ice cream.
Yes, throwing the ice cream about 20 times.
Yeah.
620. Yeah. But it's quite hard to try and exude Oliver Hardy dressed in that garb.
But you do it. I mean, that's the amazing thing. If I saw that, I'd think, why is that Islamic woman doing an impression of Oliver Hardy underneath that full purdah?
Targeted him for the rest of his life. Now, of course, today all that
it was a couple of days later that Paul became ill and missed the only episode of Have I Got News for You that he ever missed.
I think it was the following day.
His ear was worn away.
It was that. It was an ear-related, to be honest.
Well, there's this thing now where the last 25 seconds of all BBC comedies, you can't really talk over them or have music or anything because they like to...
Yeah, I noticed. I tried to do a joke here about the fact that they always run trailers over the last 25 seconds of things.
They didn't, did they?
Well, they didn't. In episode 6, in the next week's one, where you're in the Apple shop, which we'll come to next, they didn't run anything over it. It's almost like they thought, that's defeated us. We can't run a trailer for something else over this imagery, which is really, really nice.
I think Paul Merton was another one of the first stand-up comedians I ever saw.
It's great, all his old acts.
Policeman on acid trip.
Yeah. That's in the old, they could do monologues then, couldn't they, in the clubs? Funny monologues.
Isn't it marvellous?
Of 10 inches and 78s that they had in their home. But our generation, of course, know it from a cover by the Piranhas.
Tom Hawk.
Yeah, by the I think your band supported them once, Kev.
My band supported them in 1980 at the John Peel Club in Bridgemary, Gosport. A terrific night.
This week's all about comedy and how comedy works, and this was very much written with being the last episode in mind, but it got swapped round, so it's kind of a bit weird to double back on it, but it's in the right place and in the DVD running order, which is good.
Glib truism about comedy. People say that stand-up comedy is the hardest job in the world, and it is the hardest job in the world.
The most ridiculous time I've ever heard anyone say that what they do is the hardest job in the world was at the Olivier Awards about 5 years ago, London Theatre Awards. So Richard Attenborough came up and he said to all the actors and theatre people in the room, he said that they should be proud of themselves because theirs was the most important job in the world. And me and Julian Crouch from Improbable Theatre assumed this was some kind of joke, and we caught each other's eye and were really laughing, and then realised that all the other 500 people in the room were going, yes, yes, it is. And I couldn't quite believe it. It was like a sort of parody of an actor saying, what you do, you people, you theatre people, is the most important job in the world. Well, I don't even think it's in the top 50.
I know, well, it's obviously an actor who said it's an honourable profession.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes from, I suppose.
Not a man usually given to over-emotional hyperbole either.
There you were as fireman.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have put... Never mind, it's funny.
You wouldn't have put...
I don't know if I'd have put a little sheep on it. But never mind.
No, why would they... That's... Yeah, we wouldn't be interested in that as firemen, would we?
I mean, never mind. It's all right, innit? It doesn't matter. You've got to let people have their fun. I suppose so. You've got to put some jokes in, haven't you?
I wonder what he thought was, the hardest job in the world. What did he think made it the hardest job in the world, rather than say picking up heads from a plane crash site? And
I mean, you'd have to ask him if you see him.
Yeah,
Richard Attenborough. I mean, he was in.
Perhaps I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah,
because I find it's quite easy.
Yeah, it's hard to know, isn't it? Certainly, it's not as hard as nursing or teaching.
No, but then
being a fireman or anything.
My dad's a retired applied physicist, and he just would say, actors, entertainers are just put on this planet to entertain us, the important people.
Well, he's been right,
fair enough, isn't it?
As long as 3.5 minutes.
You often get that, though, if you work with actors about stand-up. They go, I couldn't do that. Couldn't do that at all, without a script. And I was tempted to reply, well, no, you haven't got the wit or imagination or courage.
I made a mistake in that first version of that parody of American stand-up. It doesn't actually make sense what I say, because the food that they shove up their ass should be related to the nationality of one of them, and it isn't in that.
Do you make those up, though? Did you on the Nikes?
Yeah,
you just
make them up
thought
on the
what
night,
came into your head, but still, it's got a good impromptu feel. You see,
got it wrong anyway.
Do you really feel that strongly that American stand-up is bad?
Well, when you go to the festivals like Aspen or Montreal, you do tend to see a lot of identikit things.
So you mean now rather than
now? Yeah, now, not historically. I mean, they tend to look like actors auditioning to be in sitcoms who've got like a 6-minute bit that presents them as a kind of character. But I don't think they'd even see that as a criticism, really. It's such a relief to get back and see some British and Irish stand-ups when you've been in the States.
And did you not find sort of with the American stand-ups backstage there was a whole different atmosphere, i.e., anybody having a drink of alcohol was a diseased idiot?
Well, yeah, and there's a lot of anxiety and discussion about what they're doing. In fact, this next bit, the sort of Bill Hicks parody, came out when you and me were in San Francisco in '95.
Yes.
And there was a guy that kept talking about whether he should or shouldn't do his mouse bit.
Do his mouse bit, yeah.
Yeah, and we never found out what the mouse bit was.
And it was, of course, who came up with the line?
You. Was it fag rats?
Yeah.
Mice are fag rats, that was you. Yeah, well, it was sort of, I was sort of thinking and also at the same time I was getting a bit fed up with this kind of eulogising of Bill Hicks.
By the way, Pongo.
This took ages to do because the pig wouldn't go where it... This is Tony Law, who, of course, a Canadian stand-up who lives here, and he just looked perfect for this part.
But you knew Bill Hicks, didn't you? Didn't you? And sort of, did you not rate him? Or?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, but I think, but that doesn't stop you having a comic awareness of the fact that he's been. He's the sort of person that people that don't know anything about stand-up say he's brilliant, and there's no one else like it, but they've never really seen anything else anyway. Steve Amos in this is fantastic.
Yeah.
They're exactly the same bits of audio, but with different music under them that makes them seem melancholy or exciting.
Smirk Farm.
Lordy, Lordy. The things Dill Spink said about mine 20 years ago, they still be relevant today. Even more so.
This is what you get with them talking about Bush, you know, isn't it?
But America wasn't ready for some of the things that Dill Spinks had to say.
That's what my sorry, but you fag rats. Don't you be railing on no rats.
Dill was offered a prestigious slot on the Lenneman talk
The
show.
extras were really good in this, actually, at joining in.
Mouse bit. But typically,
Well, I actually want to see Dill Spinks' act.
I know. Well, Tony improvised a lot of it, but it was in the end, we found it better to just use the same little bits over and over again.
He's doing it like Bill Hicks, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
kind of- he's-
yeah.
The plug was finally pulled on Dill Spinks.
2 days later, Dill fell to his death here.
Yeah, what I really again, we shot a lot of stuff we didn't use of what you get in like the culture show and stuff like that, where the presenter's kind of looking out of a window at nothing and things like that, or staring at a chair.
Yeah.
I really want. There was a documentary about Michael Sheen, a profile of him on the South Bank show, and it made him look so pretentious because there was lots of footage of him just looking out of windows or walking along beaches on his own.
Yeah.
But he'd obviously been told to do that. It
Yeah.
wasn't like that's what he does. Like walks around.
I've been a stand-up for 20 years. Many times I've considered giving
It was
up.
nice to put this bit to bed, but again, I messed up a couple of things on it. But
1997, I was in Norwich and I went into...
that's true. I did find this album in a second-hand shop in Norwich, and I haven't listened to it up to this point, but I will do now.
Yes, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, I've met Franklin Ajayi. I didn't mention it in the show, but I met him. This guy that I spend 10 minutes speculating what he's like. I was standing outside a club in Melbourne in 2000, and this old guy came up about 3 in the morning with a little Pharaoh Sanders hat on, carrying a clarinet. And he was just standing outside, and I said, "Are you a musician?" He said, "No, I'm a comedian." I said, "Oh, what's your name?" And he said, "Franklin Ajayi."
Yeah.
And I was about to go, "Oh, I've got your record, you know," but I'd never listened to it. So I knew I couldn't say that to him because it would go nowhere. But I had a nice little chat with him. He was over working in Australia for a few years, but he's back in America doing a lot of acting now. And he's just started doing stand-up again. He was in Deadwood. He played a character called the Nigger General in Deadwood.
Oh, no, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I think I know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, and he's in a lot of like 70s like films about illegal races and stuff like that across America. But you know, but he was also the first stand-up Brendan Burns ever saw, and he, you know, a lot of people really rated him.
Yeah.
I've since looked at him on YouTube. He's kind of in a Richard Pryor kind of vein. He seemed really great. And he wrote this book as well about how to do stand-up. But I had to not know anything about him or have an opinion about him, so I could do this from a position of ignorance, you know, because obviously it's unfair to take someone's work out of context and take the piss out of it.
I'm a comedian. Seriously, the back, very different image. See that very serious face on the back. Well, it's not overly serious. It's not like suicidal. He's just mildly.
Did you say you were trying to possibly contact him for something for this?
Yeah, I
show?
thought about it. Yeah, we never actually did it in the end because I thought there just wasn't going to be time. You know, you forget how short 28 minutes is. It's sort of, it seems massive, but it's also kind of nothing as well. In the end, there was a lot of this routine that I had to cut from the final edit, which is a shame, because but it did start to feel like, even by the standards of this series, to talk about one record for 20 minutes was starting to get a bit much.
And tell me as a stand-up and you as consumers of...
This was another one. I tried to never sort of write it and do it differently every time, but this wasn't a bad version of it.
I feel that the 2 pictures on this album, that's that one, remember, Nice Mash, and Did You Boil These Potato? I feel that the 2 pictures on this album convey accurately...
It's funny, though, when you find these old comedy albums, because you can't quite get your head round what the attitude is on them,
Yeah.
or what the actual comedy is going to be like by the cover.
Yeah.
You see things like Red Fox and Blaster Bates and
Yeah,
all
you
these.
don't know, yeah.
So Blaster Bates, he's got about 10 albums,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's all about demolition.
Anecdotes about demolishing towers, cooling
I've never
towers.
heard of Blaster Bates.
Have you not?
Well, enlighten the rest of the listeners
Well,
about
the
Blaster
kind of thing
Bates,
in the
then.
early 70s, my parents would have people round and they would listen to Blaster Bates records. And also an album by a bloke called David Goodson, who was an amusing air traffic controller and would tell anecdotes about funny things that happened doing air traffic control.
On vinyl. These were recorded onto vinyl.
Yeah.
One of the first comedy albums I used to listen to was my mum and dad's Bob Newhart album, which was great.
Yeah, it is really good, that. And in fact, you know, I thought I used to have a 20-minute routine about an infinite number of monkeys, an infinite number of typewriters, and what they came up with.
Yeah.
And it was all about how the experiment would be set up, and who would organise the experiment, and how do they keep the monkeys working.
Yeah.
Then about 2 years ago, I heard this Bob Newhart album.
Yeah.
He does that, a minute and a half on that brilliantly.
And the first... Was it the first thing they read on the type is, to be or not to be? That is the Gazanenplatt. So think how long it would take. You got that far into Hamlet.
But I mean, you know, it's sort of easy to forget for young people now that they can illegally download all your work immediately from YouTube. Like how important these to get an album of stand-up comedy, you know, and people you couldn't see, and it seemed really incredible, you know. And the Hancock ones, before there were videos, you know, to have the Hancock albums, and the Monty Python Live at Drury Lane, when you couldn't get videos of Monty Python and it wasn't on television, and, you know, it just seemed amazing.
And you realise that's why they could go on tour and do sketches from off from the TV show, because no one had seen them since they watched the show.
Yeah, so there was no way of...
you couldn't probably get away with that now.
Well, now you have to work a lot harder as a comic than people did in the 50s, 60s and 70s, and it's the hardest job in the world, actually.
Event and situation which happened to Frank and Ajay? Or was it something that he observed at first hand, perhaps in a lay-by or a wood?
I noticed there's loads of downloads of lots of people visiting Frank and Ajay on YouTube now, though, and commenting on this.
And I'm interested in what exactly was the time lag there. Did he see girls with big breasts and immediately find it funny? Or did he squirrel it away in his mind?
I did see a copy of that in Notting Hill Gate Record Tape Exchange.
Did you?
When we were filming this.
Oh, did you buy it?
No.
How much was it?
I think it was about £5 or something.
That's going to go up marginally.
I know, and I
now.
just thought, let someone else see that and go, wow.
Simon Munnery, as a scientist, a role he was born to play, and that the attention to period detail in this is classic work by the director Tim Kirkby, who did Look Around You.
Yeah. And presumably he's James Burke.
Yeah.
Connections period.
Yeah.
Thus, it would appear to follow that TR, tragedy, is equal to GWBB.
Isn't it great to hear people, I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but to hear people laughing at the values of an equation is a really, it's not something you see often.
Touch of Graham Garden there.
Well, also,
there's a bit of Graham Garden there, isn't there?
The way they held that pause too long there is great. This period detail in this party is so good. It reminds me of being a kid and the smell of what men smelt like in the 70s as well. But stinking the place out.
It amused me. Didn't these extras think an actual woman with big breasts was going to come out of the cake? And they actually were quite cross. So they hadn't read the script properly.
I know what they thought.
Yeah.
They're very,
they were
very
waiting.
good.
They thought, well, it's obviously going to happen in a minute.
Right.
So that's genuine disappointment and anger there.
Well, this getting their shoes off as well, that was something I got off the theatre director Rob Thurtle, who I worked with on Jerry Springer the Opera. Whenever there were fights, he'd always choose one person in the fight. He would say, you're the person who gets so annoyed that they take their shoe off. Their annoyance subsides for long enough for them to take their shoe off and then use it as a weapon. It's really, I love that. But in that, there's about 4 people doing it. It's really great.
I think he got quite hurt in that. They were quite enthusiastic, those supporting artists.
Or did he dwell on it over time?
I wish I had bought it now.
Yeah.
I wish you had.
Idiot.
Well, his book that he wrote, I'll come to it in a bit, his book about stand-ups, was very interesting. I mean, it's the best one I've read, but I still think there's something innate about it that you can't really teach, and I don't know what that is.
Is he teaching you how to do it or what it's like to be one?
How to do it, yeah. There's some good interviews with people in it.
But I have become mildly obsessed with Frank and Ajay. I found a book that he's written.
How'd you get hold of that?
Amazon. Yeah. I've not seen it here, but
Notes of a jazz comedian, and Frank and Ajay is known as the jazz comedian. He's known as the jazz comedian in his own imagination.
How would you feel if a newer comedian came along and ridiculed you?
Well, it would depend what it was like, but I kind of think it must be. I think I'm probably due it now, and also, watching this series, I can start to see the limitations of what I do and why people might hate it, and think that it was massively overrated and that it's all very well, but could you close the comedy store? And of course, all those I probably couldn't, and all those things are legitimate grievances. So I look forward to it, but also I think it'd be. I'm not probably still not. It's not like. Still, I don't know if you'd known enough for it to really make sense, but.
So I always find it's quite odd when you see someone like Kevin Bishop sort of taking a piss out of Harry Hill.
Yeah.
Or does he? Yeah, and Lee Francis, who took on Ricky Gervais and stuff like that. I think it's always quite strange, isn't it? When
James Corden's is James Corden?
Yeah.
His impression of Ricky Gervais was really good actually in that programme. But yeah, it was funny. It was with Harry though. Harry Hill's like a character, isn't he? So
I mean, the whole vibe is completely different. It's not.
I got to keep that actually. If anyone wants to investigate expenses scandals, I got to keep this. This 3 CD Miles Davis box set.
Not a CD, is it? Is it proper?
Yeah, it's CDs packaged like vinyl with a DVD. It's very good. It's made the definitive kind of blue.
Well, I didn't. I mean, I sort of know a little bit about Miles Davis, but I didn't know all of what you were saying. The innovation and.
50 years this year, I think.
Yeah. 50 years this year, and still nobody that paid on it gets a royalty. Nobody.
That's it. I had the drummer interviewed a couple of weeks ago, and yeah.
But he was philosophical. He said that he was a musician and businessmen had their thing, and they weren't anything to do with each other.
Yeah, he had an open, honest disgust, which he has come to terms with.
So, little joke about jazz there. So who's the jazz comedian now?
This next bit of footage was the most expensive single thing in the series because this footage cost so much to clear.
Did it?
Yeah, but Serafinovich's voiceover here is so perfectly judged, and the timing of the edit. That's just great. That's it. Over, but yeah.
I remember hearing that voice and going, is that genuine or is that's brilliant, that voice? Because it's a period American one of, perfect.
He's amazing, isn't he?
Titles
amazing.
His athletic tonsils.
They sound like chapter headings for a Fellini DVD. My life's not like that. Or I'm a middle-aged married father of one. My life's like a Jack D sitcom. It's mundane, it's middle-aged, and it's exactly copied off Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I wouldn't have done that unless it got such a good laugh and applause, Otherwise it wouldn't have been fair, really. But people get it.
This is the kind of thing that happens to me now. This is what my life's like. I was in Worcester a couple of months ago, and I got caught overnight.
Yeah, this happened. I was on tour with Henning Venn, and we had this mad Travelodge experience.
The Worcester Travelodge. I said, have you got any rooms available here tonight?
I think I was there too, Was it? I think I was there.
No, it was just me and him.
Was it?
Yeah.
Said, I don't know.
I had one experience where I wanted to leave my luggage there so I could go out. You check out.
Yeah.
I said, look, can I leave my luggage here? I just want to pop into the shops and for a little bit. No, you can't. Why? Because terrorism could have a bomb.
Yeah.
Wouldn't let me keep. I don't know if that was Travelodge. Well, I had to just lug all my bags around Brighton all afternoon.
With a bomb in it?
With a bomb in it, yeah.
You wanted to leave it, didn't you?
The whole thing's done by centralised bookings. You can only book a room by phoning up or through the internet. And I was absolutely furious momentarily at the sheer stupidity of a Travelodge where you were unable to book rooms at the counter in the Travelodge. I was incandescent with rage, and then I thought for a minute, hang on, this is great, because this is exactly the kind of thing that a 40-year-old stand-up comedian should be writing material about.
Yeah, well, we'll see. 40 seems so young now.
What, since you become
41? Yeah. Don't look at that young, naive, hopeful fool. He knew what I know now. That's the point where the Apple sketch was supposed to come in, but actually it worked much better when they moved it back.
Right. Yeah.
And this, I now realise watching it back, is slightly influenced by the Fall song, I'm a 50-year-old man.
Like the burial chamber of the king of an ancient civilization which valued above all
Which moans about what?
Well, it's just got this phrase, I'm a 50-year-old man, blah, blah, and I'm going, I'm a 40-year-old stand-up comedian.
Right. His grave goods to take to the other side, simply 3 individually wrapped biscuits, a sachet of shampoo and a remote control. I'm a 40-year-old stand-up comedian and I
This kind of thing, though, makes me want to try and write normal stand-up about normal subjects and see what it would be like.
What like?
Well, like being kept on hold by British Telecom, or, you know, the kind of really things that mainstreamy comics do, and to see what you could do with it if you just change the style of the delivery somehow.
But I suppose you have to sort of go back so you can go further again.
Yeah.
Who's that musician, Jim O'Rourke, where he does all those weird atonal, crazy stuff, and then he'll go off and do a sort of Burt Bacharach type
album.
album.
Or a kind of country album. Yeah.
I'm a 40-year-old stand-up comedian.
I mean, I thought again, I don't know if getting a second series, but it would be interesting to try and do different types of comedy in the different weeks. Like to do a week that was this kind of everyday material about everyday things, and then... Because also with the film items, I feel like we're really starting to get somewhere in this one. Because the film items are like sketches, but also they question themselves. And this final one is the single thing I was most pleased with, really, the Apple sketch. And yet I was very worried about it. I thought it might be a bit too mad, but actually it seems to be people's favourite bit of the film. Not least down to you two doing such a marvellous performance and learning the massively complicated opening dialogue section off by heart perfectly, and then really going for it in the improv. When it's and the trombonist, if anyone wants to know, is Gail Brand, who's from the kind of free jazz world, who's been a bit of an influence on me, I think. And
dressed as a travel lodge.
Dressed as a travel lodge attendant, yeah. So when it starts, I'm just going to leave you two to it. And you have nothing but my
Can you still remember the apples?
Oh, Baldwin, Blenheim, Braben, Bramley, Cameo,
Cortland, Cox's, Cribs, Egamon, Elstar, Embark, Garlow, Annie, Jennifer, McCoon, Double Blush, Pippin, Biffin, Pink, Brown and Down. Stayed in my head, that.
Yes.
Wow.
Tattooed. Pippin, Biffin, Pink, Brown and Down, Redden, Gurney Smith, Gravenstein, Golden Delicious.
I was dead.
But when it's on YouTube, here we are, they only show the sketch, so it's out of context.
That depends, sir, on what, or whether I have any apples in stock, sir. There are literally dozens of apples here. I can see them in my very
I was going for Michael Palin in a 1973-74 Monty Python sketch.
And I was trying to go for Reginald Marsh.
Who's he?
Who's Terry Scott's boss. Apparently I'm more Peter Glaze.
There is a Peter Glaze element there.
Harry Worth. I've been told, I don't know.
Is that the National Apples Office? Yes, I'm calling from...
That's it's a period piece, isn't it?
Yeah.
So kind of, even down to that on the phone.
It was a tricky one. It took us quite a few times to get it how we wanted it.
You could only have one go at the last 5 minutes, because that set, once it's smashed, they couldn't rebuild it. But Gail was actually quite helpful at putting people's minds at rest in the crew, I think, because people were trying to control the improvisation before, and she sort of said, you just got to let them go for it.
The other note you gave us in rehearsal is that we had to start from the same energy that you finished your monologue. So it's not like a normal 70s bog standard sketch, because we have to come in with almost the energy that you'd have in the middle of the sketch, at the beginning of the sketch, if that makes sense.
That's a good point.
So we had to come on like this. I want to buy some apples, please. It's like, bloody hell, calm down.
We had to get well geared up for it, didn't we?
Any golden delicious apples in stock there? No?
And you feel like your temples are throbbing.
What I do have in stock, then, sir.
Yeah, that was... Really was a very, very hard day.
Yes.
Hardest job.
Job in the bloody well.
Egremont, Elstar, Empire and Gala, Honeycrisp, Jonah Gordon, Cool, Flush, Pippin, Biffin, Pig, Pud and Dome.
It's, you had to get the old diction, because I was saying Roxburgh for a bit, and then you know it's Roxbury.
Yes.
And so then you think, oh, your brain goes, but I've been learning it as Roxburgh.
But relearn it.
Yes.
I tried to write them so they rhymed a bit.
Yeah.
Take me for a fool, sir.
There's a nice little turn here. Very nice.
It's called the pirouette. Yes.
Pirouette of rage.
Yes. 11.5p apples, look at this.
Half.
You certainly can have, sir. Here you are.
Do you remember I remember you texted me going, can you make it 4 Granny Smiths, because I don't think I can grab 6. I said, well, I've learned it as 6, not 4.
Learn it as 4.
Oh, God, it actually does.
Does it hurt you, remembering it? Yeah.
This is where we're quite scared. You think, I've now got to do this thing
And
once.
we can only do it once. And we're smashing it up.
I mean, of course, you don't want to kill anyone. And I was worried I was going to go back into Gail and smash the end of a trombone in her teeth. And there's apples on the wall and nailed to the wall, and they wanted me to kind of rub my arm down the wall. But there was nails and... Oh, God, blimey.
Now, the expensive mistake is not your fault, of course, but in a minute...
There's a cyclorama at the back, a kind of backdrop, and sugar glue. And I punched the wall, which that hurt my hand. Hardest job, etc. And then, but the cyclorama at the back, I meant to sort of pull a rope, and it just would fall down, but it wasn't yielding, and I kind of felt this ripping sound and pulled down, and caused how many thousands of pounds worth of damage?
Well, $3,000, I think.
$3,000 worth.
Yeah.
I think it had been attached, whereas it was supposed to be a loose awning.
And all this dust came down from like 70 sitcom asbestos dust in my throat. Put me. I think, God, this isn't coming down very easily.
You must have been giving it a good old tug, then,
wrapped it
mustn't you?
round myself. Oh dear. Yeah. Just the way you're chasing me round.
Why did you start getting undressed?
I don't know. It's just that thing where people when you see them, they're going, yeah, sort of out in the square. Mad religious. Oh, my word. It does go on, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What this is, it reminds me a bit of a Spike Milligan Q.
Yeah, well, I used to love
What are we going to do now? What are we going to do? Yeah. And
it is a bit QA.
Again, there's this sort of thing where this seems like amazing today that you're allowed to do this, but there were routinely some really weird things in 70s comedy.
Yeah.
And that is the end of that.
Good night,
Thank
wherever
you.
you are.
Cheers.